Okay, I think we are live. So now, let us hit the spacebar. Let me close this. There's gonna be a delay. There we go.
Kendall, change your game.
Oh, crud. You're right. I was
Actually,
wondering if I forgot something.
Everything really, your title, too. Just realized.
Let's talk about music and dragons. Again, featuring Violas. On fire. Here we go. Just chatting. That's the notification. Just chatting. Thank you. I knew I forgot something. Okay, that should... That might just wind up being like a couple minute chapters there. Okay, so I think that is everything. Ha! Whew. Now I'm curious. I'm gonna look at what it shows on the screen there versus what my laptop says. So that's 820. Okay, so 10-second delay, basically. With the laptop actually doing more of these graphics back over here, it's gonna make it way... Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. Well... Violas, no! Well, that might be problematic. Also, my hand wants to is having tremors. Let me see if I can find him. No, that's what's really weird. I don't see, like... I don't see him on there. Well, that could be a predicament. That, and I also need to, my controller, it was like going this way. I was like, Let me go ahead and, like, also push notification in Discord, too. Let's see if we can get Violas in here. I also saw there was a chat message. We will get to you in just a minute. Is it Daisuke? Yeah, it was a yoga pose. It was like, ugh! Very good to see you. I think Violas either crashed or he went to desktop. Depending on what he was wanting to do. We'll find out. Yes, we got a timer up here! Very good to see you, Daisuke. Long time no see. Oh, and I closed it. Well, now I can't see you. Give me a second. That's not good. I need to go. Hi, Violas.
Yep. Hello.
Welcome back. I closed chat, and now I don't know what Daisuke's trying to say. Oh, no, I didn't close it. It exited the tab or the window that I was on. That's weird. Let me fix that. There we go. That should do the trick.
That's a yoga pose for sure.
Seems to be just a little bit. Hello there, Rocket. Okay. Just a tad bit, just a little bit. I don't know why the music sounds like it's quiet. Oh no, it's fading out. That's why. It's very good to see you. Hope things are going all right for you today. So, fun fact about this timer. I was wanting to do a lot more with this style of graphics. It was made in Godot, and overall, the Yin Yang was overall going to try to have like a much bigger theme for the chat system. I had like ideas for like, well, maybe we could display images in a graphically appealing way, just have transitions all the way. But it feels like the way it's been changing out has changed, because now we just have like a big old screen behind us, and now there's other things there. We could probably do something like display bullet points of sorts, have like a bullet point system that's unique to our channel, which would be pretty fun. Indubitably, the weather has been fairly warmer. My goodness, the weather has been warmer, especially where I live too. I know Violas is like further up north than where I am. Like, has it been getting like warmer for you though?
Yeah. But it still like sometimes goes in the 30s, 40s.
Oh gosh.
But we got a few 50s, 60s.
Yeah. I think we're getting closer to like 70s and stuff over here finally, but it might have a whiplash here pretty soon. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do. This is gonna be interesting. We'll talk even more about it like in the stream itself, but we have actually covered a lot so far, and there's a lot of stuff that you'll see like a lot of the slides, and we'll pass through them just for like a review. But what's interesting, I've learned that like the interview style of doing just chatting is actually really interesting to work with. Like, we've learned a ton of stuff just from Violas himself, and just how he's learned how to do teaching, and how he takes in music, and how he interprets it in general. Like, it's really good stuff. We can do that with like a variety of different folks. That would be a really cool format, I think, that we could potentially keep doing and learn more about people just like on the fly. It's a really neat process. Well, I moved down south, so it just got warm today, but tomorrow is supposed to be in the low 40s. Woo! Oh, goodness. Also, question, does the music sound okay? I can, like, turn it up or down if it needs to, like, be adjusted by any means. I'm also going to turn Violas up at, like, 100%. I had voices, like, globally down at that moment. Do 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 do. Oh, yeah, 40s. You know what's funny is that, oh, we won't have much time to talk, but what's funny is that if you wind up going up north for a while and you're out there in the cold, you actually learn, per se, to actually really tolerate that cold stuff. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. There we go. We've made it, y'all. We're back here again. Made it to like the part 2. Holy cow. Thank you guys for stopping by. This is going to be really exciting. We had a lot more content that we wanted to be able to share as a result of what happened last time. As a review, and my absolute excuse to go fix that shadow thing because I added it last minute, we did a whole bunch of stuff talking all about music with Mr. Violas on fire over here, who has dropped in again for our part 2, which is really exciting. Let's see. Let me hide this. There we go. But it's very good to have you guys here today. Our goal is to be able to cover a lot more than what we were able to before last time. The last time, we're going to go over all the slides. We had an interview with Mr. Violas on Fire, which went on for about 2 hours or so. We learned a whole bunch, including what his favorite cereal was, what he does to be able to help teach his kids, some of his favorites, favorite songs as well, and a whole bunch of other things, which has been really cool. The goal is to be able to have that set as a clip, not a clip, a highlight on Twitch, to be able to permanently have that stored, potentially on the YouTube channel as well. We also went over like various different music, how to compose music, and the various different software that was available. You're gonna have like a 10-second lag. But we have a lot more to cover besides that. There we go. I was switching over to slides. We have a lot more to cover aside from that. We're going to be going over various different instruments, different genres of music. It's going to be a very interesting time overall, just to talk about like the whole science about it. We also, in store of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be going over the concepts of music, the psychology of why. We'll discuss the various different pathways that music winds up going through, how it winds up amplifying our day-to-day lives, and even some various different exotic examples of what music can be. Violas actually gave us like some really good examples of what music he's found to be rather unique too, and we'll be going over all those together today. So, without further ado, I suppose we'll get started. Let's see over here. Move to the... Yep, that's just the previous chat. Okay. Let us get going. Whoa! My thing just updated there. I'm gonna be in and out. I'm currently filing some stuff on Excel, trying to figure out what we need to unload that delivery trucks tomorrow. Okay, that sounds good. Also, since you're here, Mr. Rocket, I'm more than happy to be able to do like a chat with you tomorrow at some... Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm trying to think. Because we're going to be doing a stream with Starcross tomorrow. I'm going to have to think about like how that's going to shape or form, if there is going to be time. I'll try to keep you posted there, buddy. You're cute. Oh my goodness. You know who's also... We got a beautiful burb. My favorite thing about Burb right here is his beautiful eyes. They're amazing. They're very blue. My goodness. And then you redeemed a hydrate. Okay, sounds good. And I apologize too. It looks like I forgot to disable the ducky, unfortunately. That's one thing I really would like to have inside VR chat at some point, is to have a rubber duck. Ooh, thank you for the hydrate. Okay, and I guess we'll go ahead and do those deep breaths. All right. Breath number 1, breathe in. And out. Breath number 2, breathe in. and out. Number 3, breathe in. And out. Breath number 4. And out. And the 5th one, breathe in. And out. All right. Appreciate it. That was awesome. That was a good combo of stuff, not gonna lie. Get some water and hydrate. It was a good combination, just mainly because like my mouth is gonna get like really dry very fast. And it's been doing a lot of talking here. Actually, violas. Okay. Well, I'm actually gonna like I'll ask you a question pretty soon here, but it's actually about instruments. So I wanted to ask personally, like, you've been practicing the viola quite a bit, but do you have experience with other types of instruments as well, and do you have any favorites?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, if I play a lot of string instruments, I'm proficient at others, but I really like to play piano.
Piano?
Sometimes I have like a really nice piano I just recently got. It's like very fancy. It's like a Yamaha.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like made of like, I don't know if it's real wood or like fake wood, but it's like all wooden and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I'll just do basic chord shapes and then try to do like a melody over those chords, you know?
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So I know that you said it was a Yamaha, right? So it's like I heard wooden, and that confused me a little bit. So is it like a mixture of like a classical piano and like an electronic piano, or what kind of piano is it?
It's an electronic piano. It has like a quite decent display where you can check like what instrument type of sound you're playing, or like you can read like sheet music. When you have like, mine came like with a device that reads floppy disk. You have to insert it, and then like you can play along, and there's like sheet music. It's like basic, like just melody sheet music.
Yeah.
But you can follow along with like that screen.
That's really wild. Holy cow. You said floppy disk, and that confuses me, but also really enticing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I mean, judging by like how the thing looked, it came out probably like late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that totally sounds right.
Yeah, I got this for free. I know that's crazy, but they were getting rid of it at the retirement home that my mom works at. They were gonna get rid of it, so I'm like, that sucks. And like mom was like, hey, like my son is looking for a piano. Do you mind if I take it home? It's like, well, as long as we get rid of it.
Yeah.
I got real lucky.
That's legit. Wow. Okay. I'm learning new things. I did not think that would work, but like, I guess, that makes sense though, right? Because the MIDI file format does not cost anything to actually put in. In fact, it's probably going to be the most efficient file format you can get for music, which is really fascinating. Yeah, because like, okay, for context. Okay, so for folks actually talking in, my brain kind of diverged a little bit. I might actually switch the subject over to instruments because of how interesting this topic actually is. But in general, I'm going to give you guys some context. A floppy disk. He said a floppy disk. So what we're talking with is somewhere between like a few kilobytes to possibly like 2 to 3 megabytes worth of like storage space in general. At least that's what pops up into the top of my head, right? Barely anything. You would be like, okay, you can't fit any kind of song on there, right? No, actually, you can fit the very notes that are required to get a song running. So that's actually really cool that something like that is actually out there. I didn't even think that would make sense, but actually it does, especially for the contexting year of where it came from. That's really cool. Actually, now I'm kind of curious, Mr. Violas. Like, when you're talking about it reads from there, can you like write music to it as well?
No, you can't like notate, but you can like record.
Mm-hmm.
Like you play it and then it'll play back for you, but it doesn't like record it like notation software.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah, gotcha. So it can play. It could probably play back the song and it can do all that, but then you just can't like write back to it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. My goodness. So that is that's a very interesting thought there. I was thinking about it, right? So with regards to instruments in general, how do I describe it? It's actually been a good minute since I've actually taken a look at all of the notes. Oh, we got to catch up. Hang on. Did I make him a chicken nugget and eat him? No, I don't think you want to make him a chicken nuggets. Violas is not KFV. We are going to keep him all in one piece. He's going to be very important right here to make sure that he is okay. Oh gosh. Sounds good. I'm going to be from 6 to 2 p.m., so we'll see where we're at with that. Okay, sounds good. My goodness. I think Firefox might be a little bit delayed on my side. I will have to make sure that I keep it actively updated. My goodness. But yes, in terms of like instruments, it's actually really wild to think about. When I was doing research on it like a while back, allegedly pretty much anything can be an instrument, right? So when we expand on that sort of concept in general, I think that sort of thing makes sense. I do recall when I was taking a look at Wikipedia, there were examples of like really primitive instruments from back in the day, right? So when we wound up trying to hunt for food and do stuff like that, there have been remnants of what we would notice as like a bone whistle of sorts. It was quite fascinating because I don't know if it specifically had holes completely punched into it, but it could make a sound that was pretty loud, right? Whether that was necessarily correlated to music or not is a different question completely. But to be able to have something like bone, of all things, that's actually pretty wild for it to actually be considered an instrument, right? The more that we wind up getting more nuanced into how instruments work, the more that we can really tune things down to a science. In the case of pianos, it's kind of funny because I think Violas can like correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember hearing that it was actually like a string instrument, at least with the classical pianos. Let me think for a minute. But what's interesting to me is that like, would a piano be a string instrument if it's an electric piano? Would it change its type then? I don't know. That's a good question. That's a very.
I don't know.
My gosh, this is a very.
I mean,
very
I think piano is like its own thing.
So it's its own thing. Okay.
Probably. Hold on.
Here's a piano. There we go. 10-second delay, but there will be a piano over here in just a minute. There we go. But yes, actually the topic that we were going to touch just now was going to be all about the different genres of music that we were going to be touching. But since we started talking about instruments, I thought it would be nice to just be able to start talking about those at this moment. Let's see, what else? What's up? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so a piano is a, hold on, let me say it right. Chordophone.
Chordophone?
Which is a musical instrument that produces sound primarily through the vibration of stretched strings. So you could say all string instruments fit that, but I think that's mostly applies to commonly known as string instruments. They're classified into 5 main types: bows, harps, lutes, lyres, and zithers. And are further categorized by whether they have an integral resonator. Yeah, well, I can explain this better too. So, like, before the piano, there was an instrument called the harpsichord. You hear that in a lot of like Baroque, Bach music.
Yes.
It has like a plucking kind of sound because that's what it does. It kind of like plucks an instrument. With pianos, it's hammered. They use like tiny felt hammers to resonate it.
Okay, interesting. So it almost sounds like it would be a string instrument, but then it's got its own category. You said, what was it called again?
Quarterphone.
Quarterphone. Okay. That's wild.
Not quarter, corda. Like
corda.
chord.
Corda.
Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it does imply, like I said, it applies to all string instruments, even piano, lute, harp, because they also are plucking.
Oh, okay, interesting. That's wild. I'm glad we talked about the piano today. That actually is a very interesting fact. Wow. Interesting.
Tracking.
Just finished making your March page for the habit tracker. Let's go! It's good to see you, Drock. Oh gosh. Everything okay over there, Burp?
Yeah, just checking my tracking.
Okay, gotcha. That's awesome, bud. Holy cow. I've been needing to actually do some more of that. Actually, when you're talking about doing like a habit tracker of sorts, that's something that I've been trying to, as of like last night, trying to like balance out a lot more in my life, right? I've got like a plan, see. So what I am thinking about doing is that I have all my clothes kind of like laid out for the week. It's not something I've done before, but I really want to put a head on things that like my brain kind of like stalls upon, right? I kind of want to have that more established because there's a lot of other things aside from like IRL stuff that like my mind needs to handle a lot better. So for projects, for example, I'm building like a project called Godot Gym. It's kind of been in the ringer for a good while at this point. My goal is that I want to push it out much further. So I want to be able to get that prioritized versus a whole bunch of other things that I said, ooh, shiny. I'm going to have to un-ooh shiny and then work on this thing. And then it will be shiny at the end. It's kind of main goal. How are you guys today? We're doing okay. We actually just got out of a picture from Axel's server. So we just we're over in the fishing world that just got bumped over to the version 1. It was actually in beta. I'd have to give you the specific world name, but it's a really good, compelling game. I think everybody really enjoys it, and Axel wants to be able to do a stream on that on Friday, so you'll have to check him out when we actually go do stuff. Good to see you too, man. I had a T counter to the tracker this month. Excited to use it. A T counter? That's interesting. How does a T counter work? I can give you a picture on Discord if you want to use it as a reference. Sure, I'm kind of curious to see how that works. Huh. I'm still thinking about that catnip tea, by the way. I'm gonna have to like go look online to go see how that works. That's been on my mind.
Safe?
Or
is it just called catnip tea?
Well, you see, it does use real catnip, so.
All right.
As far as I know, Drock says it can be safe, but in terms of I think the goal is like you don't have too much, so that's kind of what it is. I'm British. I put how many cups of tea I drink. That's completely fair. Oh my goodness. Well, I guess to be more direct with the Violas, I'm not sure, but I'm willing to experiment. I may have to do that. So if I want to do catnip tea, it's gonna have to be a project I stick on my tasks and just make sure that it will be okay at the end of the day. And we'll see how it goes. Oh gosh. I kind of want to do that, but then drink the tea in VR chat and see how it goes. Be a cat drinking catnip. Oh dear. Okay, so like the context for why we were talking about it, Drock and I, we were chatting over Twitch on a game called I Am Cat. So it was a game where like I was on all fours. It was an orange cat too, and we were like going outside trying to like wreak havoc and all that stuff. We knocked down a dog and everything. But we started talking about teas and stuff because Drock had like this tea book. So that was a very weird thing. I don't know where we started talking about catnip tea, but I was like, oh no, I think it might have been. I was like, okay, I want to try catnip someday. I'm kind of curious to see what that's like. And then he was like, you could brew it into a tea. I think that's where it all started. Anyway, deep fat sidetrack. We have learned that pianos are kind of like their own instrument thanks to Mr. Violas. It makes a lot of sense. My gosh. It's kind of interesting to see where all that goes. Pianos themselves, I can actually provide a little bit of personal experience. Like, I actually learned to do piano when I was very young. I don't have, like, that completely memorized anymore at all, because I didn't really pursue music after that. It was enough to get through 1 grade in middle school, I think, and that was it. Although, it is something that, like, someday I kind of want to get back into an instrument. That was one of those things where it's like, it taught me you kind of can just do it. Like, it makes sense. It looks complicated at the end of the day, but the way that they have it laid out, it makes sense to be able to get things to play. I'm saying this like completely unprofessionally, but that was my own personal experience with the piano. Our piano specifically was inherited by from our grandmother, I believe, on my dad's side. So we have like this really old piano that's like completely made out of wood, and sometimes my dad will play some songs on it. My mom will play some songs on it once in a while. We haven't really used it in a good minute, but sometimes my dad will pick it up and he'll just do something from memory, which is actually pretty neat. And then, actually, here's another piano story. I actually had like a toy piano from like a long time ago. It was something that we played with a ton. I wish I remembered the brand of that piano. I'd have to look up like the different toy pianos that exist, because it actually taught me a song. It taught me a song. It was called Fly Me to the Moon. It's funny because like I was trying to figure out what is Fly Me to the Moon, and I tried to do a Shazam on it. Like, of all things, the piano really shouldn't have given me that result, but it tried to like play through it, and then all of a sudden it plays a more exciting version of Fly Me to the Moon. And then I'm like used to that, right? And then it plays that on Shazam and it goes, Fly me to the moon. It's like, that is completely different. It's like, whoa. Anyway, random tangents about the piano. Okay, so it's a mint family plant, so it's generally pretty safe to consume. Okay, good. But like all medical things, you can have many negative effects. You can have negative effects. It is antioxidant, can reduce anxiety and promote better sleep. But it, like many things, can cause an upset tummy, set of allergies if you're allergic to similar herbs, and interacts with some medicines. Oh, okay. Frank Sinatra, yeah. Yes, that's it. That's it, Druck. That's it. That's the song.
Actually, can I give a fun piano fact?
Yes, please. Oh, that was my ceiling fan. No,
you're good. Wake up, no hands. Yeah, you kind of need those, especially I need those.
Yeah.
So, I was looking at the brand, and I was like, I never heard of that brand, but there's a brand I do know called Baldwin Pianos. And Baldwin Pianos are made right here where I'm from, Cincinnati.
Oh, that's cool.
I know everyone's like, oh, you gotta play on Steinway, all those Yamaha. Like, nah, Baldwins. I played on a few Baldwins. I'd say they're pretty good.
That's cool. You've got the full fiber of being in Ohio right there. That's sick.
I mean, I think not. Yeah. I think there's a what's it? Rock Hall of Fame. Up in Columbus, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it? Am I thinking of the cafe? Because there's a cafe version of it. That's research.
Research. Ah! Oh. My goodness. Yes, pianos are interesting. I'll say that from personal experience. This one right here, I didn't have a lot filled into the bullet points. Violas kind of did the heavy lifting there with regards to like understanding what the piano was. But it makes a lot of sense with like being able to understand it. It's an instrument that you see like all over the place. My family has one. You see it in places like church as well. It's a very versatile piece, and like you get to here's a random thing that I'm just gonna go completely off the topic of. Black MIDI. Have you guys ever heard of Black MIDI? It is very weird. You guys should totally check it out. I'm surprised I didn't put this in the exotic songs, but essentially in a nutshell, it's kind of what it is in the name. Imagine you're looking at a music sheet, but it's all covered in absolute darkness and splotches. All those are musical notes, and they're all supposed to be played all at once. How do you do that? Normally you can't, because there's so many of them. But if, and only if, either A, you have an army of people with you and they all play at the same time, or B, you have the piano play it for you, you can have it done. And there are some very crazy things you can do. Fun fact too, it's something I should have shared too, but there are actually out there was a real life Black MIDI piano that played itself, which was really cool. It played like an actual Black MIDI song, and it played through it. But the thing about those songs is that it was designed to be played on like a regular, electronic piano, or even just like a digital one on the computer. Those things have like okay.
I have something to add.
Okay.
I have something to add. So, you can actually play Black MIDI before MIDI was invented. I'm sure you ever heard of player pianos, where they have to like play on the paper, and then when it plays in an open hole, like it'll play. They're actually, I don't know. There's probably others, but so I found the video, but like.
Well, let's go.
His name is Colin Nancaro, and what he would do was, I guess, edit like player piano paper to make those kind of stuff before MIDI.
Oh, that's cool. That's sick. Oh my gosh. That's really cool. The one thing that scares me though, I think with that example and potentially the one that I saw on YouTube, you have a risk of ruining your piano because of how fast those things can actually go. Because they're using like physical hammers and whatnot. What happened, at least with the guy that I watched, was like it played the piano, and then you'll see in the video, there's one key that just stops playing. That's because it permanently broke on the piano. Because it was so complicated of a song. Oh my gosh. I think the way that you're talking about, I think that's even cooler, because like you're able to punch in all the holes manually. That's actually really neat to have like a song like that just all written out. That's pretty wild. Holy cow. I have a cool music fact. If you guys know anything about speakers, have you heard of Celestion? Super high quality speakers many musicians swear by, including Jimi Hendrix. I'm afraid I don't. Let's see, if you guys like funny piano things, Matthias Krantz does loads of stupid piano experiments and pranks, like turning my entire piano to E and taking lessons and replacing my piano hammers with actual hammer. What? This guy sounds like he's a bit crazy. Holy cow. Black MIDI on a church organ? Yes! Yes! Holy cow. Oh my gosh, there's like so many rabbit holes we could go with just a piano, and we have so many different instruments to talk about. One more, at least on my side, and if Violas is another one, we'll go over that one too. But like, Furbies. I know I'm saying a really weird word here, but trust me on this. Somebody made a Furby organ.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that.
Okay, yeah, he knows. Um, so there's a weird guy. I'm gonna have to share a video at some point, but he like my smile is like this is actually painful right now because how funny it is. But he like set up a whole bunch of Furbies, and it was like really terrifying while he was getting things tuned and set up. Because he has them like all lined up in one spot, and they're all talking. They go, and then he starts to like play a key, and they go, holy cow, it was terrifying. And he played like an actual song. These were like with all Furbies that were like really old, and they were torturing them all to the highest extent. But he made an instrument out of it. It was crazy. Oh goodness. You know, in summary, this is a weird summary, okay? Because, okay, I'm gonna be very discreet with you. Let me go down to where the actual thing says, piano. Let me go down here. String. It says, yes, a string instrument, but that is actually incorrect according to what we have heard earlier. That's...
Well, it still is.
It still is?
Yeah, chordophones are, like I said, string instruments. And the reason they're called chordophone is that they can produce chords. Pianos can do chords.
Oh.
Violin, viola, cello, bass. Well, not bass. You can try.
Yeah.
Not as good because it's so muddied, because it's so low.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You play chords with that. You can do guitar. Guitars are chordophones. And that's like the chordiest string instrument.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. In summary, piano is an interesting instrument. You can make them in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, including but not limited to hammers, guns, Furbies, electricity, pure
Cats.
wood. Oh gosh.
I don't know if it was real, but it was like more of a hypothetical. So like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's hypothetical, but someone would take, the hypothetical is like someone would take a bunch of cats, depending on what their meow sounds like, and then every time you hit the piano, they would hit their tails with a nail, and then they'll meow or like hiss or in that key or whatever.
Oh my
I think it's
gosh.
hypothetical.
That sounds like oh my gosh. That is definitely a wild one, I'll say that much. Good grief. In fairness, speakers aren't well known in name really. They were, and some still are. I mean, my hometown, my grandma used to make them. That's cool! That's awesome, dude! I think my favorite organ piece I've heard is only small, but it's the theme song of the Generation Zero. It's in game. Oh, okay. I know Pow, he's literally in Eurovision entry this year. Look, Mom, no computer. Oh gosh. No, just all Furby. We all around the UK are hoping that he's bringing the organ to Eurovision. Okay, but lute. The lute? Oh, that's one of the instruments Violas was talking about. A guy in China spent a lot of money making the bubbly piano that you often see in MIDI or demo videos. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hang on. Guy in China. Interesting. That's wild, because, like, we see that quite often with, like, all the different stuff with the black MIDI. That's wild. Yeah, super versatile instrument. You can make it in all different shapes and sizes. You can read a floppy disk depending on how old it is. There's a lot of stuff you can do with your piano, which is quite impressive. Let's see. Man, I can't tell if you're not connecting the dots with the Eurovision, but look them up. Look, Mom, no computer.
Oh.
Oh.
That's the UK. That's the UK's pick for Eurovision. I haven't listened to his song yet, but I just know he's the UK representative.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm not super music adept, so unfortunately I don't know if I'm picking up what I'm supposed to there. But
I mean, Eurovision's like mostly a Europe thing, and I'm just an American that watches from a distance. So like, I've been following since what was it? I forget what year, but it was Karia's Cha Cha Cha. I love that song.
Ooh.
Cha 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 Cha. I love that.
Cha 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 cha.
He didn't win. He got second, which made me sad.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, let me refer if I click. Sounds good. I don't know which slide I am on. I'm gonna have to take a look and see which slide I'm on, and we can take a look at what you're saying too.
Yeah, we're still on piano. Looks like
we're on piano, so I'm guessing the only other slide that I skipped through was the string instruments. So let's go over there. Correcto mundo. Okay. So we'll go over this briefly, but that might also be a curse because we may actually go for these for a little while. We'll have to see. String instruments. Also, by the way, I'm going to talk about a technique which is ultimately causing me to stall with what we're going to be talking about. But something that is important when you wind up setting up presentations and whatnot, they teach you this in school, and I keep that principle regardless because of licensing reasons. But you want to be able to get images that like respect like the original creators, right? There's going to be a lot of stuff on YouTube that you'll see that they'll grab images for whatever purpose, but I believe their reasoning for that is going to be either fair use or for educational content. So in those cases, I completely understand. In this case for us, this is more important than ever, and this is the reason why back like last year when I did a big old project for FNAF, I wanted to make sure that all the sourcing was completely ethical in the sense that we don't want to necessarily impact somebody if they made a professional image and they didn't like that something was up. So the source that I use is actually something called the Creative Commons, the Wikimedia Commons. This is a website that has a whole bunch of like, not even royalty free, but images that you can use freely under the label of Creative Commons most of the time. Sometimes they have the GNU public license, etc., etc. But it's important to acknowledge all of this because there's going to be creators that actually do legitimately really good work. I'll publicly say that I donate to Wikipedia quite a bit, and it goes to the Wikimedia Foundation. That ultimately helps them to be able to continue their efforts as they go about their time. But it's a good source to make sure that, like, if you want some images, they've got some good royalty-free stuff. Beyond that, they have stuff in the public domain, GNU public license, and all that. So each of these pictures come from the Wikimedia Commons, and that's important. I also have the credits inside the notes itself. So when you go over to Chillferno, I'll link those things directly down there. You guys can see where those things come from. It's part of like the licensing behind all of it, but I do want to bring that up front because it's an important thing. Either that, or you can also set up your own images. Eurovision is the European and couple other music competition. Each country enters one contestant. Look, Mom, no computer is the guy that made the Furby organ. Oh, that's cool. We chose him to be our entrant into the Eurovision competition this year. That's so cool. Cha 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 was Finland's entry in 2023 by artist.
Oh, he made it.
Oh, that's cool.
Sorry.
You're good. The song got second highest public vote of all time and still lost because the jury in the House of the Crew and a couple other people decided that Sweden's forgettable entry by Lauren was gonna win. Bruh.
Hey. Tattoo was still good. I thought Tattoo was good too. It's just that Cha 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 was more energy. I like that one.
Oh my god. I'm gonna have to learn more about Cha 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 now. My gosh.
Oh, it's so good. They get you pumped.
Interesting.
If you translate, it's more like a drinking song, but I think like, Europeans.
Yeah. No,
like
I gotcha.
Like it's very cha 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 cha. It's very pump.
Yeah.
Pumps you up.
I don't think that song actually has been publicized yet, so we'll see. Really? Okay. Tattoo wasn't cha-cha, dude. Cha-cha-cha deserved that win.
No, I agree, but tattoo, like, so good.
Oh my goodness. So we have successfully gone over cha-cha-cha. We've talked about the Creative Commons license a little bit. That's just purely a nerd thing. Over here we have some wind instruments. I have a couple of stories for a couple of these. The trumpet, I don't have as much information on, but I can talk about a little bit of the saxophone. The saxophone is actually something that my father learned back when he was in college. It was something that he learned quite a bit before the piano. Overall, it's a very interesting instrument. You mainly use it, well, it's very associated, I will say, with jazz, but you can use it in various different other types of genres. In terms of like the flute, that's something that my mom also learned as well. She actually still has her flute back when she was from like elementary school. So I don't know, perhaps that flute could probably go for a lot at this point. But she's kept it in very, very good condition. And I think she even allowed me to learn how it works a little bit as a result of her having that flute. The trumpet is also pretty interesting. It can be used in lots of different types of genres. I've heard the trumpet everywhere. In terms of like jazz, for example, there was actually an interesting fact about it, which I don't know if I have the exact wording for it, but it is possible to use the trumpet, but slightly modified. You could put like a pillow or something inside of it in order to change how the nuance of the trumpet actually sounds. And they use that quite frequently in things like jazz. Let's go over here. Trumpet scene, marching bands, classical music, jazz, etc. Yes, that does make sense. Actually, I want to go on a tangent a little bit. The people who are able to walk in marching bands is very impressive. We have like a marching band that pops up whenever there's like a 4th of July event that happens. I'm not gonna lie, it seems like it takes a long time to go around and around, at least where our city is. So for them to be able to do that and continuously play the instrument, that's like a big mind and body workout, it seems. My gosh. Wait a minute. So now I'm starting to realize, I was gonna ask Violas if he ever did something like that, but at the same time, that actually has me nervous because, like, okay, if you ever did a marching band but with like a viola, for example, I feel like that'd be a very big risk to like ruin the strings. I don't know if that is a thing. Oh god.
Well, it doesn't. Well, string instruments are more for like inside playing anyway. Brass and like woodwinds are more for like outside playing because they can produce more than just a string instrument.
Okay, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because you can actually hear that from far out, which, when you think of like marching bands and all that, yeah, that's actually pretty clear, and you can actually bring all that stuff like around with you quite commonly. So that's clear. I think Drock was also saying some more stuff. Let's see. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Cha-cha deserved that win. It sounds like it did. So did Baby Lasagna's one next year too. That also got a huge public vote and was demolished by the jury. Bruh. Good grief.
Okay. But Nemo! Nemo! When they hit the high note, it was amazing. I felt like that was a good live performance. Like, okay, Drax, we might have to fight. I'm gonna come to the UK, beat you up.
Oh my gosh. Druck, quick, do you play an instrument? We gotta figure this out. You guys are gonna have to have a music fight or something.
Musical fight.
Either that or he plays Beat Saber, so then you wind up playing your viola, and then it generates the notes, and then he tries to slice them.
No, get me on Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero's fine. Sorry, rock band. Beat Saber's not my gig yet, so.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay, look, in fairness, I haven't heard Nemo's one. I don't think so. I used to play cornet.
Cornet and French horn.
French horn, okay.
Cornet, okay. I don't want cornet's like a smaller trumpet.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a brass and woodwind person.
Gotcha.
But I know what a French horn is. It's the circular one with like the big bell end at the end.
Right.
The bell end.
Hey. You know what I actually did? I actually do have a small secret that I haven't told a lot of folks. I tried to learn something called the ocarina. It's something that was interesting, and I'm not gonna lie. It was because I was looking at Nintendo Power one day. Nintendo Power is like a really old magazine. They don't sell anymore because the authors kind of like moved on to other things. They did like a Nintendo Power podcast, but inside their ad for the magazine, they had a section where it said, "You found the ocarina." And so they had ocarinas that were kind of like in the shape of like what you would see from Legend of Zelda. It was interesting. Mine's more of like a plastic ocarina. And I didn't know if I was going to get serious with it or not, but I still have it. I just really haven't learned like sheet music or anything from net. I tried to do a little bit of play by ear, but it was an interesting little experience. Overall, though, I would imagine like the ocarina would be a little bit nicer to listen to if it was something like clay or metal or something like that. Mine was actually made out of plastic, so it's more of like something where if you want to learn how to practice and see how it goes. Oh no, Barb! It is an interesting little instrument for sure. I need to learn how to do that again, honestly. I really miss the ocarina now. Good grief. Advice against saying bell in K-E key. Or K, did I say K-E key? Good grief. K-E-K. There's someone in the Heath Henry Discord server I'm on who goes beyond playing ocarina. She's a bit nuts, but I respect it. Nice. Let me go ahead and get some water real quick. Let's see. Everything all right, Burb?
Yeah, I had to plug in.
Oh.
Yeah, off topic, can I rant a little bit right now? I'm
Absolutely.
beefing with my Quest 3 right now. So, since I have a Quest 3, I don't know what happened with the recent updates, but with the firmware, it doesn't charge completely. It stays around like 75.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about going back to a previous firmware or something, but I found a solution.
Yeah?
There's a plug right here next to my new chair I just got. So, and it's over here, so I can just sit, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's just that even like my battery pack 2 goes out. I don't know.
I see.
Okay, rant over. But we have a solution. We're fine. I can stay on VR chat for the rest of the stream.
Hooray!
Yay.
That is weird, though. The only thing I can possibly think about is, I wonder if they're trying to prevent the battery capacity from, like, dying. Because there is a, what is it? There's a whole thing called Battery University. But it talks about how the capacity of a battery is very sensitive. So if it goes up to, like, 80%, for example, that seems to be the sweet spot before, like, you wind up pushing the battery to its limits there. Although, to be fair, I don't think that's something that Meta would try to do because, like, 100% is like 100%. So it's like, I think people feel like they have to be able to charge, and that's important. I don't know. That's my only nerd guess. Maybe there's something happening where it's like, maybe it gets to 80%, but it never trickle charges. That's my only guess.
Yeah, but sometimes it'll go to 100% sometimes on some days. Like yesterday for the game show stream, it was at 100.
Oh, that's weird. What?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But not to fear, I found a solution. So hopefully this works. Or worst case scenario, it takes more than it gives. Does that make sense?
Right.
It gives, or is it the other way around?
So, something like that. It's like
Yeah.
it's charging, it's charging, but it's remaining charged. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not like charging, but it's eating up more, so it drains. Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah. That
Yeah. Rant's over.
You're good. Yeah, that becomes more of a problem as your quest gets older. So it's good that it's being able to continue this. Let's see. Lots of fun. I'd advise against. My guy, is your texting a bit broken? Yeah, Bell is effectively a swear word and insult, so advisable to avoid its use just for the record. Dang. Well,
yes, I do know that it's a very bad thing to say.
I'm learning something new. Okay. There's so many different things like with that word though. Okay. For the record, is referencing something anatomical. It's not for a stream that prides itself on family. Okay. That over and no harm, no foul. Just thought I'd warn. Okay, no worries. Some of the most important batteries for a charge are LiPo batteries. Too much charge or too fast, and they catch fire. Too low, and they could die forever. Oh dear. Gee. Yeah, you definitely want to monitor those. That's definitely different from lithium ion. I could easily go on a tangent about different batteries, but there's some science where people have like found way better batteries in lithium ion. It seems like it's gonna take a long time though for like people to adapt to new types of batteries because it's so widespread. I really hope it is possible though that they can innovate on batteries much smoother, because there's a lot of things that do depend on it, like being able to have like something for your electric vehicle, for example. That's gonna be a very big user of things like big batteries such as that. And yes, for the record, whatever reason Firefox is like freaking out right now, I don't know why. I have to go to my home button here and then actually check the chat in order to actually see the updated stuff. No, not Bell. Oh.
Bell end. Bell end.
Gotcha. Also, if you puncture it, you can say goodbye to your house. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh yeah, I had a battery pack. It was like a rectangular black one. Yeah, the battery like puffed up. It's still at my old house, so hopefully my doesn't catch a fire and my dad.
Oh boy!
like I'm sure it's fine as long as I don't use it. It's at my old house, so it's fine. My dad's fine.
Oh no! Oh dear. Anyway, with regards to batteries, let's see if we can find some other instruments here, shall we? The instruments section is gonna be pretty short overall, just because like in terms of the other things, the bigger pieces is all about the psychology of music, and it's gonna get very interesting from there. So let's see if we can like knock out a couple of these other ones. Let me go over here. I think the next one, well, it's gonna be gonna be the piano, but then also check this out. We got ourselves a viola.
Mm-hmm.
I was told by Violas in the previous stream that violas themselves are actually, how do I say? They're actually bigger than a violin, which I didn't actually know that. So that was pretty interesting. You said it was for like to have like a deeper sound to it, right? Is that what you were saying earlier?
Yeah. Since it has lower strings than a violin, it needs a bigger like resonator to produce it. But here's the thing, like mostly the full-size viola is like a 16-inch. I do a 16.5, which is like standard, but there are bigger violas. You need it to be like a lot bigger, like 20 inches, for it to resonate just as well as a violin and cello. Viola and double bass need to be a lot bigger to resonate more. but double bass gets a pass because it's like plays low strings anyway, and it's very muddy. Not in a bad way, just like that's what low sounds like.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So you played that standard of it. So like, have you played any like string instruments that are like larger than that? So like larger than your viola, personally?
I have not. I've only ever gone to 16 and a half.
Okay, gotcha.
Granted, I had that viola for like 5 years, so.
That's fair. Yeah, I think you were saying that you wanted to get like a new viola, right? You were considering getting something new.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about getting it because like I said, I'm going through my masters and I want to really like get one that's good and like maybe has a story with it. My viola professor recommended I go to like a instrument auction, not like a normal auction, but like specifically for instruments, and then I can like buy one there. Sorry, allergies. Yeah, but there is a few that I want at my shop that I go to, and what they can do is that you can try a instrument out. They have like a 15-day policy to try it out before you like buy it, which I think is very nice. There's actually one that I really like. I think it's called the Chen, like Chen, and it has a unique design where like obviously you see at the top of the instrument body, like it has that little like C, like half circle. With this one, it's like more angled, like a triangle. The reason is that so that way you can go higher on your instrument easier, because with that design you have to really like stretch it like
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I might try that. And it costs $4,800.
Oh gosh.
No, $5,800.
Oh boy.
And Kendall, I would love to talk about financing.
Oh boy.
If you have really good credit, they'll let you finance things.
I can see that. That makes sense. That's sick, though. That's the thing that's like really exciting to hear, though, just because of the fact that like he is a professional. He's literally being able to find like the cream of the crop when it comes to these instruments. But he's able to.
I could audition for orchestras if I want to.
Oh, let's go.
Instead of going to community orchestras where I have to pay them, they can pay me to play.
The Violas. That would be really cool. Who would not want to be able to hire somebody that has the literal name Violas in it? It's impressive. Let's see. Let's go over here. Man, tech isn't black and white, unfortunately. You trade off size, weight, and power capacity. Lipo has greatly high power capacity, compartiality, but are dangerous. We use them in airsoft because they can last a long time. But if you accidentally hold the trigger and draw lots of power, they can catch fire. Oh no. Almost happened to my friend.
They can.
Oh dear.
Are they okay?
I hope so. My favorite instrument, the Heavenly Father and the crucifix. Huh? What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah. With a bunch of instruments, they had the cross.
Oh, okay.
Or is it like wood blocks?
I see. My girlfriend has played many violin, piano, and cello. Oh, very nice. Goodness gracious.
With like the cross, like music does have a lot of big connection with religion. Christianity, like all religions.
Interesting.
A lot of like when about world culture, a lot of it for like their like religious celebration. Like I'm thinking of like Africa.
I hate to break it up, Violas, but it looks like you're breaking up in VR chat at the moment. Like your voice is getting choppy.
Oh no. Try that going.
Okay. See, that'll work. He still has his New Year transition, so he'll go poof and confetti. Let's see. He's okay. He panicked and ripped the battery and caused battery because that's all he would do. Oh gosh. Oh no, it was on your slide. Oh, the crucifix. Oh, I see. Interesting. I've never heard of that before. Okay, let's see if it actually has a better connection now. We'll see how that goes. That was fast.
Yeah. How do I sound now?
You sound much better, Burb.
Nice. Okay, so anyway. As I was mentioning, music does have a lot of connections with, well, religion. Just like we mentioned, like with sacred music as well. And then like, music is a part of a lot of cultures. When I was in World of Music, we learned about the African drums, and they would do that for their religious dances in that regard. And then obviously with like hymnals for the church and why did I say resonant? Medieval Renaissance. That's right.
Renaissance.
Like medieval Renaissance, like hymnals or Gregorian chants in that regard.
Yeah, that is very interesting to hear about, like, the whole history behind that. It is wild. I think we were talking about it in the last stream, but what's interesting is that, like, back before we did a whole bunch of, like, writing, I think it was somebody that told us about it, and this is more like a he said, she said, so just take this for a grain of salt here. But it's more more on the lines of, we didn't read a whole bunch of text back in the day, so our minds were very much geared towards a lot of visual information, a lot of mental information, and a lot of stuff that we would just store completely in our heads, right? So if we have the ability to skillfully remember everything that there is through our heads, then we can transfer it. And people just wonder, like, how do they do that? Well, that's exactly what happened. And now these days we can actually offload a lot of our information off through things like text and just our own devices to be able to help us better remember those things. What is very wild just to see how that sort of stuff has traveled over time and into the modern day. So it's very interesting indeed. Burb fast? He is fast. He has the power of the paper airplane. Also, me not saying Heavenly Father was bad, I do apologize. It's all good. Just for some context, I think you remember, but I'm actually a Christian too, so I'm not gonna say God's name in vain. I'll typically will say like Heavenly Father or something like that. But that's why I responded in that regard. Let's see. Music was a wonderful read for religion. I love it. Sadly, mine has no surviving written accounts for songs, mainly due to the fact that writing came along with Christianity. One of the oldest written songs is Summer is Acumen. I suggest a listen. It's very cool. Okay, interesting. Yeah, just making sure. I know people are different. It's no issue. I just don't want to cause you any issues or discomfort. I gotcha. That's completely noted there. At least on my side, like, it's, I guess it just makes sense though. As a Christian, I'm probably not going to be saying God's name in vain. That's just what I do. If I'm talking about the word Jesus, I'm going to be talking about it in the context of what I'm talking about in terms of Christianity, right? Jesus Christ, our Savior, Lord. That's not that's not me swearing. That's actually me talking about it in the context of religion. So it's going to be very. I know what you're thinking.
I know. Because I'm like, yes, I was raised Catholic, but like, I mean, currently I don't practice, but like, I do say a lot of that in vain. Like, oops.
Oh gosh. But we do have it in the context of when we're talking at Sunday school and we're worshiping in church and all that. So I do say it, but we say it in the context of not in vain. Good grief, because it's in the context of the name of the guy. But anyway, Let's see. Let's go ahead and talk about the next instrument. Let's go over here. Oh, okay. Okay, fun one. You'll see it in like a few seconds. Yes. So this is called the electric violin. This one's fun. We're getting into more of the exotic instruments, which I'm excited for these. I wanted to talk about this one mainly because, okay, you would have seen from like the other ones, we talked about the wind instruments. I didn't have a lot of information on that. We talked about string instruments. Violas had a lot of information on that. Now, for this one, I actually have a lot of meat and potatoes for this. I'm excited, right? So, you'll see something very interesting about the electric violin is that it's completely hollow, in air quotes, right? So, the reason for that is because it doesn't need any, like, hollowness from the instrument itself, or it doesn't even have to be made out of wood, even. This is a really cool instrument because it sounds like the violin, but with a twist, right? You don't even have to have it like hollow. You can have it plugged into an amp like you would an electric guitar. It's really cool. It is something of more of a niche instrument of sorts, and you can do all sorts of different things with it because it's now in the electronics area. It's very, very wild. Let's go over here and we'll talk more about it. Oh dang, I actually had here we go. 1920s is roughly the birthplace. Okay, interesting. Okay, it was made in the 1920s. Stuff Smith. Hang on.
Oh gosh, I just remembered something.
Okay.
You know how we were talking about how the string instruments aren't really loud?
Yes.
I forget what it's called, but apparently, I think my violin shop, my viola shop. Yeah, I'll call it a viola shop. I have a viola. Has a violin that is a mix between a violin and a trumpet, because it has a big, like, I'm sorry, I'm going to use the word again, bell end, and it like makes it louder.
Oh my gosh!
I had to look up what it's called. I should have given it to you. Oh gosh, I should have done more research.
It's okay. A violin trumpet. This is interesting. I've never heard of this before.
But you play like a violin, but like to make it sound, it like has like trumpet features.
Oh, that's wild. Oh my goodness. Yes, it was created by a person named Stuff Smith, the electric violin specifically. It's very interesting. Apparently in my notes, it looks super cool, quote unquote. Let's see what else. Okay. There is something in here which apparently, okay. It's called a piezoelectric bridge. So what I understand from this is that you should be able to record the violin straight from this. One of the benefits that somebody said on a YouTube comment, which is a beautiful way of like referencing things, I promise, is they were like, okay, if I want to practice violin at night, this thing doesn't make a peep. But if you pop in like a pair of headphones, this piezoelectric bridge, which you'll see, it's like this little thin line right there in the middle of it. That's where it records like electric currents. You can pop in a pair of headphones and you can just listen to your own instrument that way. It's actually pretty wild. So it's like the convenience of a violin, but then overall you can just use it in the context of an electronic instrument, which is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. But yeah, back in the old days, people used to tell stories through the lute and song or drums. It was an easy way of remembering and passing the stories on. Oh. Some of the early Christian English stories and other things like that were written, were old heathen stories that were repurposed from the name of God. One, the 9 herbs charm, actually kept the name of one in the old gods wooden despite its repurposing. Huh. I did not know that. Also, my girlfriend and her mom are Christian too, so I'm always learning stuff regarding that. Feel free to teach. I don't wish to mean wrong as a non-Christian. It's all good, bud. It's all good. Piezoelectric, a great physical property. Yes, it's a really cool thing. Using the squishing and expansion of crystals to generate electricity used in lighters. That's cool. And using electricity to squeeze and expand the crystals is how phone speakers work. That's wild. Okay. Are you talking about like in the context of, okay, I'm somewhat of a nerd with this. Like for a while, phone speakers used to have like this little grill at the bottom of it, right? But are you talking about in the context of, okay, the phone doesn't have any visible speakers, but then the entire device like makes a sound. You can actually hear surround sound out of it, like from the screen. Is that what you're talking about? Maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it is interesting to think about. Because I've seen those new phones out lately that do that sort of thing. Violins have a solid body to prevent echo and can continue all sorts of materials, like glass. Yes! That's actually a really interesting aspect, because now that you don't have like any sort of hollowness inside the instrument itself, you can basically have it to like whatever kind of material that you want. It's actually really wild.
And you can get some cool designs too.
Yeah, it looks so cool. Oh my goodness.
Actually, I have a story.
You have a story?
Yeah, so if you know the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, like they play with electric strings and orchestras and stuff. Mark Wood made a lot of electric violin, viola, and all like that. He made one called the Viper, and it's a 7-string violin. And it looks like the Viper guitar, you know, like the Viper guitar that's a V.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you have to like play it differently. So like so the one side of the V's here, and then another side of the V's right here, and you have to basically wear a strap behind you, like a backpack strap around your body to hold it. And like I said, it has 7 strings, so it has the high E string of the violin, A, D, G, and then C string from a viola, and then what are the next notes? It's either like a B. It goes lower than a viola. To where like it's. I think it literally has like all of the strings of a guitar and then a low B string. Yes.
Oh, that's wild. High customizability. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
That like, honestly, that has me genuinely thinking, because like whenever I see like, okay, you have instruments with like more than like the amount of strings you usually see them, is it hard to adapt to instruments that have like a couple extra strings? Like, what does that take for like muscle memory and whatnot? It has me confused.
Yeah, I actually tried like a 5-string viola where it has the high E string of the violin. Since like it's more strings on there, I have to like prepare because the distance I change my bow at is different. It's more closer. So I had to like really work on that.
Yeah. Okay. So then that sounds like almost like a new instrument. It's like a 1.5 whenever you're trying to learn how to practice it almost. Huh. Gotcha. It doesn't seem like the worst, but it definitely would take some practice if you're trying to learn how to use it for the first time. Let's go over here. Nope, they will use grill and holes. Okay, gotcha. But to make a speaker so small, they can't use normal membranes. Okay, so instead they pass electrical signals through the piezoelectric device, making vibration at frequencies. Got it. That's wild. I didn't know about that. So it's the same technology as like, huh. That's interesting. But they have it in like a completely different form and fashion for that. Other speakers and buzzers also use this property. Microphones sometimes do. They also just the They also just the opposite of speakers. And if you have an analog watch or clock on your wall that says quartz, that's piezoelectric based timers. Wait a sec. So you're talking about quartz. My brain is thinking for a minute. I was thinking quartz compositor, but it just clicked. It clicked. Is that like crystallized oscillation? Is this all the same technology that I was like reading like a long time ago? Because, okay, I'm going to go on a tangent. Crystallized oscillation. This is a weird word, but in a nutshell, what this allows your system to do is every 30 to 60 seconds or so, you have an oscillation or electric current go through a literal crystal. This allows your computer to be able to keep track of time overall. And so when it knows how to keep track of time, it can say, okay, based off of this oscillation, we're going to break this down into 60 seconds. So 60 portions of that time that we saw in between here and here. So it's a very interesting type of technology, and pretty much every computer under the sun makes use of that. Yes? Let's go! Wait a minute, this is... I am so confused, but this is actually really interesting. So, like, okay, the technology of speakers, piezoelectric, crystallized oscillation. My brain's exploding right now. I'm gonna have to really learn more about this. Holy cow. That is something else. Oh my gosh. I was trying to learn all about crystallized oscillators like a long time ago. It's such a weird thought to think about. My gosh. I'm gonna have to go ahead and set myself to do not disturb, unfortunately, for some folks, because I forgot to set myself to red. Jock, we're gonna have to get you into VR chat. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me go ahead and reply to these guys.
Also, since it's an electric instrument, you can put like distortion and like a bunch of pedals too, make it like its own unique sound as well.
Oh, like being able to adapt the sound of the electric violin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You can change how it sounds.
That's really cool.
Just like a guitar, bass, or what have you.
Hi, Kyber. Sorry, I'm getting messages in late. I'm not properly seeing them today. But no, unfortunately, I cannot let you in since we are doing a stream. We are doing a stream between Music and Dragons with Mr. Violas on Fire.
Mm-hmm.
We are chatting with him, being able to understand all sorts of different things today, ranging from various different music topics, from instruments to the psychology of music to his own personal experience and the things that he has worked with as well. For example, he actually told us today that apparently, at the time, you could have a MIDI-based keyboard from the 1990s and 80s that take use of floppy disks, which is really weird. Oh yeah. My goodness. Rage noises.
Rage.
I've used VR chat before, just a long time ago. Oh my goodness. We're gonna have to get you in there, and you know what? We're gonna have to make you a cat. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway. Let's see. Wait, is this a VR chat podcast with guests? Yes, no. So, kind of in a way, this is what I kind of started as like a just chatting. I'll give you a little bit of context. So, my original thought was I wanted to do something. I'll kind of just sort of leak it a little bit. I kind of wanted to do somewhat of a YouTube series that would talk about various different topics down to like core issues, right? But I was talking with my friend Iron Jimmy, and you can absolutely give him a credit for this. He's like, well, why don't you just do it with Twitch, and you can just do it now instead of having to put it on the wayside. And like, I was nervous. I was like, really? Could this happen? He goes, yeah. So you can thank him for that. You can thank him for giving me a push. And now we have it in real time. So normally I would just be by myself. I'll be talking about different topics. But today, this is a very special occurrence because last week and this week, you've had beautiful Burb here as our special guest to be able to talk about all sorts of different things. So yes, it's somewhat of a podcast today because we have Burb. And in general, it's kind of like a thing for Twitch in that you can just interact with the community directly this way. Draknex. Yes. Drakennekos. Yes. Yes, yes, yes! It's Jimmy, speaking of which, hello, Jimmy! That's him! That's the guy that started it all! Get him! Maybe. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. You just eat a burger right now. Oh my goodness. But yes, that's kind of what the Just Chatting series is all about. We get to be able to talk with the community directly on board with a topic that they're interested in discussing. The formula that I kind of adapted was basically, Jimmy was saying you just choose a topic to talk about. For me, I was like, okay, what if we did research on it in advance? And so I usually spend about a week in advance, about 2 hours every day, to do some studying and learn about various different topics. The first one that we ever did was pizza. So I was like, okay, we're gonna spend a week on pizza, and then we're gonna talk more about pizza once we actually get on camera and hang out with folks. So that's kind of what it is. We go into deeper topics, and then the audience themselves, Violas, and whoever's like watching or participating, we all like wind up adding in more things. And for me, that's kind of the point. We do have a main topic, but for people who are interested in the topic itself, I don't want to dismiss it. There's genuinely really interesting things that I get taught as well. So it's really important to just engage with the community and really figure out where we want to go. Oh my goodness. When you do Tales, Kitsunes, or D&D, I better be with you for that. We can make something like that happen, Kyber. It shall be grand. I come on if time is ever viable. Time zones make it noticeably difficult, but I am happy to discuss. I am a bit of a jack of all things, so give me a shout and do whatever is needed. Yeah, man! We'll figure it out. I'm not a stranger to working with time zones on the other side of the world, too. For example, in Shilferno, we've done events before that go or start around Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that winds up helping a lot of people out on the UK side to be able to hang out with everybody while they're still awake and whatnot. So, like, we can make something happen. I can promise you that. It'd be worth it. Note, I am not full body, just headset, which is okay. Most people are in that category. I'll tell you, I'm kind of like halfway there. What I have right now is an Xbox 360 Kinect. So it's not like physical trackers by any of this thing of the sense. It's basically looking at me through a laser and a monochrome camera. And by doing that, it can detect my arms, it can detect my legs, my knees a little bit. You'll see it broke because it's not perfect. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. Only caveat, if I decide to move this way and I keep doing this, we wind up starting to do some yoga. Is that an advantage? Is that a disadvantage? It just depends on who you are. But yes, it was cheap full body tracking to dip my toes into it like 4 years ago. For the low price of something like $30 to $40, which wasn't terrible. Oh, no. Honestly, I have a lot of things I could probably talk about, so content for a while. Message me after stream or something. Yeah. That's clever. I could tell you all about how Kinect works. Oh my gosh, I bet you could. Yeah, for context, Drak is like a hardware engineer, so he's very much deep into the weeds of that sort of thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Drak, but you understand like the nuances of embedded languages, right? So I don't know if he's ever dabbled with assembly, but he's worked with lower level stuff, so that's kind of where his realm is. Okay. What else about electric violins, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up that part. Oh, Violas stole a fact. So some artists have used pedals to allow themselves to flow through more than one channel of a song after doing the first one. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have a YouTube example, which I did not put any YouTube videos on here. I probably should have. And now we can, because now I have like a separate stream system. For context, I'm doing 2 streams right now. This is a dual stream. We have about 2.5 kilobits per second dedicated to this stream back here. And then we have 4.5 kilobits dedicated to the stream that you see here. This is an RTMP stream going on in the background, going to some custom infrastructure over in Atlanta, Georgia, or Georgia somewhere, I don't remember. So we're streaming to Georgia and back. It's essentially what's going on. Something neat about these is that an amp will greatly impact the sound. Without it, the instrument sounds flat. That makes sense. He makes a good point in the video. Don't limit the type of music you can play on an instrument. I hear that. It makes sense. You gotta be able to remix and experiment and do all sorts of different things. It's all about, in other words, the vibe that Violas has demonstrated with the various different types of experiences that you want, right? Do you want a mix of electric and country? You can do that. What matters is that you have the tools at your disposal to make things happen. It's $10 to $20. No, that's pretty good. That's not bad. Do you have a Quest Pro? I think Drock, from the top of my head, he tried to use... No, I'm getting mixed up with Sign. Sign had like a Rift S for a while. He used that. I don't know what Drock uses personally. I do all sorts of stuff. Robotics is my actual field of study. I'm just a nerd, but I deal with C often. Got it. C's a hard language, man. I give you respect for that. Cool, I've been looking to get my hands on a Quest Pro. Oh! Quest Pros are not cheap, dude. Do you have experience with one? My bad, I missed the message. No, I have a Valve Index in a Rift S, sadly. Oh! No, Rift S, Valve Index is pretty good. I had the Rift S when I first started in VR. It worked for a while, although it's definitely something that couldn't last for very long. I then swapped over to Valve Index, and hopefully this thing will last until like the new headset comes out. Okay, so we're off to an interesting bit here. We're gonna now talk about a section that I found on Wikipedia. You'll see in a minute. Underneath Wikipedia, it actually had a interesting section after I was learning about various different instruments. It said, see also amplify cactus. And I was like, huh? A cactus? I was like, that was very strange. So turns out you can use a cactus as an instrument. And as we tried to establish earlier, maybe I didn't say it super well, but you can use anything you want for an instrument. That's what's really powerful about music. Because ultimately, let's go back to the very top of our article. It's our article, my notes. You break it down into a few different areas: time, pitch, and energy. Then you also have rhythm, melody, harmony. We add a Violas bit to it, and we have vibe. So, what do you get from all that? Well, you get amplified cactus, is what you get. Amplified cactus is very interesting because you essentially use a literal plant to make music, and it's exactly what you think it's going to be, right? So when it comes down to it, you have a couple of options that has been seen at the very least. You can prick the needles that are on top of the cactus, and you can make noise out of it. There is something that I believe Violas has told me multiple times. John Cage has created music with a amplified cactus. It's all about forest ambience, if I remember correctly. But it was interesting because what he did is that he poked the needles, not through his own hands, but like with tools. So you would kind of hear what I would describe almost sounds like an Ethernet cable being plugged in and out. It's like, doink. It goes do 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 do. It's that sort of thing. It's really interesting. There's a YouTube video all about it too, which I believe linked. but essentially it goes through and it tries to simulate what it's like to be in the forest, and it's really interesting. Let's see. They're $400 now, the Quest Pros. Good grief. They've gone really down in price. They used to be like $2K, man. Sea is a nightmare. I wouldn't blame you for saying that at all. You can't get them new anymore. No, definitely not. They stopped selling those. I've not really heard a lot about Quest Pros, sadly. I think someone I knew had one and thought it was pretty good, but nothing special. It was kind of like an in-between device between Quest 2 and Quest 3. Like, they tried to take a market, right? So for more professional use cases, but I think people kind of just saw through what they were trying to do, and it stunk. It was a neat product, but like, I think people didn't really like the professional grade pricing. And also, I don't know if the market was necessarily there for that. There are markets that actually still do VR. Like, it's dead serious. Some people say that like the VR industry is like really struggling right now. Not in certain spots. If you look at like military use cases and a whole bunch of professional grade things, such as like being able to build like actual buildings and whatnot, like all this stuff for simulations and everything, it's thriving. Like, it's actually very impressive. Also for things like racing sims and whatnot, VR is still like heavily prevalent. If it counts, I think someone picked up an electric signals in plants and made music out of that. That's exactly what the next part was gonna be about. You're absolutely right there. In terms of like this cactus, people have also wired them up to actual cables, and they make sounds. Which is interesting. There is a really old Vimeo video that has been referenced from Wikipedia that does exactly that. Lots of different cacti were connected to cables and whatnot, and they make interesting sounds. It is fascinating. And it's like flat out in the desert too. It's very wild. All right, my good friends, I'm gonna go to bed. It has been very lovely talking to you, Kindle. Feel free to message me after the stream and I'll get back to you in the morning. I'm happy to rattle off some ideas with you and whatever. All right, bud. It was good running into ya. We'll have to get you into VR chat at some point, make you hang out and have a good time. We'll be sure to like figure out a certain point, like what that would be, because I know you're busy and whatnot. We can try to figure out a schedule. But hope you have a good rest of your evening, bud. Let us see here. Yes, as Drock said, you can stick a cactus in with a cable and you can make noise. You can also do the John Cage style of thing and prick it down and do all sorts of different sound effects as if it was an ASMR video, as one commenter said it at one point. Let us move on. We have a couple of other instruments that have been inserted into the stream. Let's go ahead and hit the next button. We'll talk about them briefly. I do not recall how long we have been streaming at this point. Let us see. Let's go over to OBS. Hi, OBS. We have been streaming for 1 hour and 43 minutes. Okay. So, let's go ahead and start talking about the Novation Launchpad. This right here is actually a pretty interesting utility of sorts. It's overall, I would describe as an interface of sorts. It can be used as an instrument, but ultimately, it goes over to various different applications. The most popular one is known as Ableton. Ableton is essentially like a system that allows you to connect it and allow you to insert samples onto each of these different squares here. This is like a pretty primitive version of the Novation Launchpad. It was one of the main pictures that was on Commons, but these days they have much more sophisticated ones. It's a very interesting utility overall. Let's see if we've got some notes more on that. I have a ton of notes. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Ableton Digital Works. Yeah, it's part of a DAW, Digital Audio Workstation. In a nutshell, you have various different ways of making use of that. Let's see. So Ableton can fill in rows and columns with sounds. Yup. You can use that to ultimately play something based off of that part of the grid. Right. So it's kind of a way to help you loop your music. In Ableton, you have the ability to insert various different samples. So if you want, for example, to have like a trumpet that goes on a loop, you could activate that trumpet with the launch pad. That is something that you can do if you want to. But for each item on the grid, you can customize various different parts and loops and whatnot, and you can use that as part of the sequence if you want to be able to record those things in real time. It's a very interesting thing. If you watch YouTube videos on it, there are many different ways to apply an Ovation Launchpad. You could use it as if it was a piano if you wanted to, or you could even just use it as part of like a sampling system as you are continuously putting your song together. Let's see. The above is about specific mode, but depending on the software, you can have several different methods. Exactly! That's what we were talking about. To me, this screams like a blend between tool and instrument. That's kind of what we talked about at the beginning. Is it required? No. At the end of the day, like, here's something that I was learning when I was poking around with instrument stuff, or instrument digital audio workstations, right? They are tools. When it comes down to it, this very much reminds me of something called the Stream Deck. Now, I can't use it right now because I'm literally in VR, but the Stream Deck, in a nutshell, is one of those shortcut tools that allows you to get a lot of things done that you normally would have to do multiple keystrokes for, or have to navigate to a different window for. Like, all that stuff can be very inconvenient, but they've created their own ecosystem that allows you to do things without having to exit windows, and things can be much more of a stronger flow. So in this case, it's very much a utility for putting music together. You can use Ableton or LMMS or GarageBand or Logic Pro or anything like that without having to have these utilities. They're very much more nice to have, though, and if you end up getting onto the level of what Violas does, you may appreciate these things more than the regular person who is attempting to make use of these things normally. But it just takes a lot of practice to get into that stuff. Top viewers at... that's going to get you banned, unfortunately. We're going to have to go ahead and delete that message. Oh, do. I think the window is confused. Here we go. Goodbye. Do. All right. Let's see. Monome seems to be similar, but oh. Yeah, there was another instrument which I didn't quite cover, but essentially it looks a lot like an Ovation Launchpad, but I wouldn't say it's more primitive, but it's a completely different system altogether. They have various different interfaces and tools if you wind up doing a lot of different digital music. The Monome is essentially another example that they have various different modules that you can connect. They have different lights, they have different knobs. Like, all this stuff is designed to make it easier for you to have more of a physical interface and get your music organized and ready to go. Okay, so let's move on to even more exotic stuff. We're getting into the most exotic of exotics. Let's go ahead and move over here. This one's a fun one. I bet you a whole bunch of folks know what this is. Well, maybe not. We'll find out. How many of y'all have ever heard of the Flopotron? This one's a more wild one. It's a very exotic kind of instrument, and there is only one of them. This is because it is created by a very specific guy. I love this so much, but allegedly there are over 500 floppy disk drives associated with one machine doing a singular song, which is absolutely crazy. You'll see over there's a whole bunch of printers as well, printers and scanners. They all use these whirs and stuff to actually make music. As we mentioned earlier, anything can be an instrument. Why not a whole bunch of computer tech, which is crazy. Many different songs have been played on that. There has been Never Gonna Give You Up. There has been We Are Number One. Several other different songs, which is absolutely insane. But imagine like an army of like these floppy disks and also some hard drives for like percussion and stuff. It's crazy what you can do with that much hardware. You can also see there are 2 emergency stop buttons right there in the picture. There's one there on the bottom and one there in the corner, just in case something goes wrong, because that's a lot of moving parts. It is absolutely insane with this thing in general. Most exotic of instruments, the human vocal cords. Oh yes, I think we might actually get into that. I don't know if I wound up sticking that in. Either it might be near the end. The human vocal cords. It's crazy what people can do with voice impressions and stuff. It's actually insane. But yes, Flopotron. It's one of my favorite novel instruments just because of how wild it is. Unfortunately, I don't know where this person went. They sort of disappeared off the internet, but I love this stuff so dearly. It's like one of my favorite memories from like a long time ago. What I see here, there is actually an even different instrument that we can talk about. And this one has seen a lot of successors ever since the original, but we'll talk about the original because that's the one that I remember. This one here is called the Marble Machine. I bet you a whole bunch of folks might actually know this one. This was like a really hot one back in the day. I think it had over 200 million views on YouTube. But it was nuts. But it's exactly what you would think it is. It's a machine that uses marbles to have music in all sorts of different ways. You'll see that it can play the marimba. It's got like various different percussions on it. It also is like partially a music box too, which is really wild. And it had its own music to it too. It goes do 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 do. Like it was crazy. This thing went to various different events and everything. The guy who made it, he's still making marble machines to this day. He tried to do like a sequel to the Marble Machine back when I was watching it again, but he was actively working on it, which is a lot of fun. This thing right here is pretty exotic, but one of the things that he said he had trouble with is like there were marbles that would spill out of this thing so much. Like this was the original marble machine that did like a whole bunch of stuff all at once. So in his new marble machines, they typically are a lot better at remaining cleaned up. If you were to take like this thing at an event, it probably would spill so many marbles. It was insane. It was insane. Loved that one. There are 2 more, and then there is actually more of a primary instrument after this. So I'm gonna nerd out one more time. This one right here plays true to my heart, and it revolves around a genre that both Violas and myself enjoy. This one's called chiptune, and the instrument of choice, the Nintendo Game Boy. Of all things, very strange stuff, but chiptune revolves around making use of really old 8-bit machines, whether that be the Game Boy, the NES, or several other different sounds. One fact that like I want to mention here is that some people will consider this genre to be 8-bit, and technically that is incorrect. From what I understand, the way that the Game Boy plays music and the way that several others play, it's not necessarily defined 8-bit. There are several other like nuances that go into it, but chiptune is more of a better way to describe this kind of genre just because of how diverse you can have with your sound cards and all that go within the device itself. This is a very interesting scene because people still use things like Game Boys to this day just for the sake of actually making music with it. So much so that like at this point, this is like 1980s tech, right? What they have done is that they have created special software for this thing. Little Sound DJ or LSDJ is the main piece of software for that. And essentially, you just go in, you set up your own loops, you have your own way of triggering the Game Boy's sound card and all that. It's very impressive. And people don't just get the Game Boys emulated or anything like that to run LSDJ. No, they want like the actual thing because the sound itself replicates way better on the actual device. So there's a very big appreciation for how these things work. The only way I could imagine possibly of this also playing out correctly is if you had more of hardware emulation. And I believe there is a big scene for that as well. That would be using a system called an FPGA. There are a few systems out there that implement an FPGA, and some people have done it. I don't remember the specific names from the top of my head. There are a few people who have made, let me think. There's at least 1-2 specific Game Boy releases out there. And then also there is a project, which I actually put some investment into. I really want to make sure I can get my hands on it. It's called the Mister. The Mister is a special FPGA device that allows you to emulate the hardware side of things. So in other words, you're not trying to emulate the software side, but you're trying to recreate the hardware using dedicated hardware that can adapt to like an actual architecture of what the device used to be like. So in theory, you could have Game Boy-like sounds come out of the Mister, and it's going to sound accurate too. So you've got all sorts of different options to do things like LSDJ and allow you to create very retro songs out of like various different hardware choices that are out there. Okay, so we'll go over one more here that I won't be doing for very long because I haven't seen this topic in a very long time. I do want to acknowledge it though, because it is, well, as torture as it is still a thing that is out there. So this is called circuit bending. This is the bane of my existence. I absolutely hate circuit bending. Reason why I have like a toy guitar here is because that is exactly the subject that winds up getting tortured in the process. So, to describe this in layman's terms, imagine you're a toy, like literally any electronics toy. You're on a surgery bed, and somebody goes, "Ooh, I'm gonna put this random thing right here." Wait, what does that do? It overvolts you by like 5,000%. So, you get what I'm saying, right? So like this thing can be overvolted to sound absolutely horrendous, or you can get it to do things that you wouldn't normally have it do. It's like if I put like sticks inside Violas' brain and I supercharged him to go at 2,000% and he started to go that would scare me half to death. I do not want to be an electronics toy in that scenario. So circuit bending, that's a uncomfortable topic, but you know what technically it brought out for us? The Furby piano. And out of all the different circuit bending projects that have happened, I think the Furby piano is probably my most favorite one, even though I am scared to death of circuit bending. Yeah, that was one that is a little uncomfortable because I wouldn't want to be the electronic toy in that scenario, being overvolted by so much. So we'll go ahead and talk about something else instead. This next piece was something that Daisuke hinted at, which is choir. Choir is technically an instrument, with what Daisuke was saying earlier. You have your own voice, but you also wind up working with a big crew. Something that I actually have a lot of personal experience in with the choir. I wound up being very young. I learned how to do children's choir. I learned how to do choir in the middle school, high school. I went up to that point, and I learned how to sing straight from the diaphragm. So if you've ever seen like the redeem down there inside chat where it says answer your question in a choir voice, I do a Xander Mobus impression, but I actually do know how to do choir voice. I'd have to like get my mouth ready and stuff though, but sing from the diaphragm, it's like, hello Violas, something like that. I did do choir for a little while. I learned a lot of different songs. It's actually a very fun social experience too, because if you do choir, then you get to hang out with friends and be with people that you're right next to for a very extended period of time. So you get to know your friends, and you get to also be able to sing some of the same stuff. So it's a great experience. Sometimes there have been parts where I actually did volunteer to do like solos and whatnot outside the choir part, in which if you wind up learning choir, it is a gateway to help you to learn how to sing and manage your voice in general. So there's a lot of opportunities that wind up playing itself out. Our church specifically makes use of choir still. It was something that I heard like up the grapevine that we may get rid of at some point, but I think they ultimately decided on not doing that because our church really enjoys having a good choir. Depending on the church that you go to, you may actually see these robes, maybe you don't. Our church is actually pretty casual and they don't really do robes anymore. But for the longest time, I've been in this church long enough to where it was over 20 years ago, or even more, that we used to do robes like all the time. That was pretty much what we did. So we had robes all the way up, I'd like to think up until like 2010, 12 or something. And it was more of an on and off thing. We didn't have robes anymore after that. Hi, Space! Hi, up in time for choir. Hello, Space! Yes, I had a teacher. Her name was Miss Dee Dee, and she said, "Sing from the diaphragm." So I sing from the diaphragm. I am rusty. Back then, I was a kid, and I was a tenor. I was not even a tenor. I was something even more high-pitched. And then I became a tenor, and then my voice was so messed up and trying to change that I eventually kind of quit because my brain couldn't like take it anymore. My voice was getting really dry. But I did choir for a very long time, up to the point where like we did that for a while. Actually, fun choir story. We used to do like all sorts of different skits for a children's choir. When we were little, we did various different things, but there was one where, for whatever reason, I'm not going to go deep into the context because it might dox. I don't know. Could I say? We had an American Idol clone. It's essentially what we did. It was for the kids so that they can have some engagement with choir, but we essentially had our own version of American Idol. And then for the commercials, we actually had some acting skits. That was my first exposure to actually doing acting. So what I did, I actually got part of a Sonic commercial that we made up. Like, these guys were talented. They knew how to do like video edits just for the kids. It was amazing. So I had like a carrot juice shake kind of thing, and I was in the front seat of the car. They put like a kid in the front of the car. It was that was on them. But essentially, we just talked to each other like our Sonic commercial, and that's kind of like my first exposure for doing acting in general. I was about 10 years old around that time, so at this point it's over 18 years ago since that happened. Oh gosh. But yes, when I say that choir gives you a lot of opportunities, I think of that because I learned how to act. I learned how to do acting back then. That was my first exposure to acting, and then I did public speaking in college. That was a very big gap between those two different things. But it was something that was kept in my mind because I really enjoyed doing that. Let's see. Choir can practice for many weeks, get a song ready to go. Yup, absolutely. You could be singing a song for weeks and weeks and weeks, but the goal is that you wind up having it in your system and you know exactly how to say it. There's also, like, our church has, like, a few different, like, prompt TVs, so you don't really have to fully memorize them like we do, like we used to. And over here, you'll see that they have their own songbook. You don't have to have that anymore, especially modern church. You just have what we call, actually, I know the cogs behind this. This is called ProPresenter 7. We have that piece of software at work. I call it the Magic Spacebar program. whenever there's lyrics, you control both what the choir can see and what the rest of the church can see. What you do is that you go. That's all you gotta do. You gotta hit the space bar and the lyrics will pop up. It's obvious.
Call me old fashioned, but I'm so much a paper and pencil kind of guy. Because some people have like the iPads, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't trust technology with like stuff. Or, I should send you this video of someone actually trying to find a good tablet for music reading. There needs to be like a tablet for musicians.
Interesting.
And maybe I'll consider it.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of wonder. This would be really hard to say, but like, I know it's ironic for me to say it, but a Kindle or an e-reader of sorts. I don't know if that's fast enough for music reading, though, would it?
Well, depending on like how. I've had a Kindle before. I'd rather have it like smooth transition from page to page. Because it kind of just disappears and comes back.
Yeah. I can see.
Because you can have like Bluetooth enabled devices where you like hit it and it'll turn the page.
Yes.
Yeah, but sometimes those aren't reliable. I had a friend when I did Les Miserables like a few years back. She had one, and sometimes you have to charge it. The charge will go bad.
That's a lot just to turn a page. I can see the full perspective of that then, because it's like, you need to be able to have that fluency, and it may not be fast enough for the human eye. Just maybe all rigidy. Yeah, no, I get that fully. Jeez. Actually, you just uncovered a memory. We used to have like sheet music all the time when we learned that stuff. Also, that's another perk of learning in choir, is that when you do things like youth praise and whatnot, they'll give you like CDs for the stuff that you're trying to learn. At least back in the day. We don't have really CD players anymore now, but you would essentially have a disc they would give you. You'd listen to the songs and you can memorize them and work with them like throughout your day, right? So you continue to learn even if you weren't in the choir. You wind up keep going through that. Also another thing, modern tech now, we have something called planning center services. So at least for me, the only reason I need to open that app is to see what kind of camera I have to operate that day for church. So I will see, it's like, oh, is it camera number 4? Am I going to be doing the dolly, which is the left and right camera? Am I going to be doing camera 2, the long lens? Am I going to be doing 5, which is our handheld cam, which I now hold like this? Or, at least in the case for choir, what they have done in the past, I don't think they're doing this anymore, but they would offer all the songs that would be available, and so they would use that so then they can just have a delivery of that stuff instantly. So I would say it's either more for the instruments rather than the choir itself, but it can be used for the choir should you want to be able to wire up planning center services for that. That's a little bit of the behind the scenes, because I volunteer over at my church. I don't just go to church. I also help in with the media section of it as well. So if you have any questions about that, I'm always open to that. That's a very fun thing to talk about, because we also have a switcher, like a huge switcher. I could talk about that, but I don't even know how it works. That's my friend Daniel's job. That's his job. All right, so we've talked about choir. We got very nerdy. We said pages themselves are probably a bit more useful when we're trying to understand music very rapidly. Let us see here. What is the next part of the talk? Aha. Okay, so first of all, let me check how far are we in OBS. Let me just double check. 2 hours. Well, okay, so we have a very interesting beef here, which is all about the psychology of music. We've gone through a lot about like how music is, how do you wind up understanding music in general? What kind of instruments are available? But when we think about it, why do we wind up having music in general? And this is actually something where I didn't put a slide up for this one because at the very least, this kind of also fits this next category. We'll go for this one and then we'll move on to the other pieces because there are actually slides for this one. But worship, that's the one thing that Violas mentioned earlier, and that's something that we were just talking about just now. But as he mentioned, back from like a long time ago, music was known to be very sacred, right? So we would be using that to worship Jesus Christ. That's essentially what we'd be using it for. It's something where, like, if you have music, it is known to very much amplify the experience of what you're aiming to shoot for, right? So in the Bible, it says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. When you wind up looking at it from that perspective, that's a joyful noise, right? So you wind up learning how to be in Him. You can be in tune. You can understand like how to sing praises in that regard. So it's something that very much evolved. And then there's also secular music that came very much after that fact. But worship in itself very much amplifies, well, I want to be able to worship the Heavenly Father. How do you wind up doing that and applying it? So that's the very big piece that winds up having a big origination for where it came from. Oh, in here, yes, I do talk about like the different types of Christian kind of authors that I wound up growing up with. So there are writers like Toby Mac, Jump 5, Mandisa. Like that's kind of like the background that we had. That's stuff that my mom wound up getting in our CD player. We'd rock in that white van, and we listened to that stuff all the time as we would go to McDonald's and pee. That was kind of what we did. Let's see. Old fellas were saying, oh, yeah, so this is an interesting bicker. So this is a very interesting piece. I have linked here contemporary worship music. So when it comes down to the different types of worship music, it started out as more of like a monophonic chant. I don't think that's the right phrase at all. There's somewhere in my notes where it actually has the correct definition. But they started out as chants, and then they wound up being more of words and lyrics that very much talk about how much we appreciate the Lord. Well, these were all very complicated stuff. If you look in like the old hymn books from like years ago, we don't have them anymore in our church, but I remember picking one up, and they would have like, please go to section, page 230, section this. And it's like, oh, okay, there was a very complicated song. It had like several different verses, and they all sounded different. Well, they had the same hymn and whatnot. They're complicated. There was a lot of stuff. Modern music these days, like they'll still have the verses and whatnot, but now we display them on like a big screen like this. They may have their own lyrics that get hit by the magical spacebar on Pro Presenter 7. And like the songs themselves, they're more modern sounding. They're not sounding traditional like you would listen to them on a harpsichord or something. There was apparently a lot of pushback for that. So it was interesting to hear that like it took a minute for like modern music to try to get adapted in the land of worship, but it's something where if you want to be able to worship, then you don't just stick with like the old stuff. I think there was an argument made that in the Bible that it encourages being able to make new noises unto the Lord. So in that regard, that's kind of an important piece to like consider. In terms of like music itself, it plays a very big piece in worship because you want to be able to have the proper emphasis to bring gratification to what God is giving you in that sense. I do remember that. Yes, that is what Violas was talking about. Like I think in the first stream here, so there was very interesting bits and detail to that. Okay, here we go. We got a specific Bible verse with that too. So sing to the Lord a new song. Okay, so Psalm 96:1, which context Psalms is a lot of stuff. That's the biggest book in the Bible by far. If you open it up, it's usually, if you split your Bible open, you will most likely go into Psalms because of how large it is. If it's you're in the middle of the Bible, that's usually what happens. So it's a very big thing. I think it goes up to 120 chapters. which I think a lot of other books can range between 5 to 20 chapters, 5 to 20 to 40. I know Isaiah goes up to like 53 or something like that. So there are a lot of verses. Psalms is the biggest by far. So by far, if you go to Psalms or like Song of Solomon or something like that, like you'll see a lot of that stuff where it's very much poetic and melodic. But I'm probably not saying that right. Melodic. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's also an interesting thing. So in my notes here, it says how I'm trying to work hard not to be crusty, right? So in this sense, when we move from like the old contemporary music with the harpsichord and whatnot to all the new stuff, it's very much something where it's a lesson. You kind of have to learn how to keep moving in life. This is more of a general principle. Up front, in my job, I have changes being made. I won't go into what those are, but those changes are very intense on me. So when I think about trying to work and adapt with change, I think of that example because it's like, well, if you can get through that change, then you can rock really hard. I think that's what's important for me as like a general principle to just keep going on with life, right? So it's being able to move, being able to be fluid is something where this kind of lesson is important. You don't really see choirs like this anymore, where it's just like a whole bunch of robes with all these different music books and whatnot. It's not something super common now these days, but they moved on to having more modern clothes. You have a prompter now, all that stuff. There may be some people that still make use of this old kind of style, but it's something where people have definitely moved and tried to adapt to modern times. Okay, so this next part, these next two parts are actually really, really big. I'll try to make sure that we can keep them condensed because they're actually very, very large. I'm also gonna get a cup of water. In the meantime, we'll talk about, I think it's either therapy or autism. It's one of those two things. I believe this is music therapy. And this was something that Violas and I were actually talking about much earlier, before we even started with the stream stuff. This is actually our third time in this world. It was the first time was actually on a Wednesday back a couple weeks ago. But he was talking about how music therapy was kind of like very much attuned not just to what he went through in his early life, but also a potential pathway forward if he ever wanted to pursue it at some point. It seemed pretty wild, but music therapy has shown to have a very wild amount of potential to be able to help a variety of kids, right? So not just kids, but people of all ages to be able to understand things from, I would say, is it the prefrontal cortex? Is that what it was? I'd have to look again. But it is a very interesting topic nonetheless, and we'll get into these nitty-gritty details. Let's see. Okay, so one thing that Wikipedia actually stated is, in terms of music therapy, it's nothing new. In fact, it's something of a practice that's been going on for ages and ages. In the Bible, it actually talks about King Saul and David. In that context, what was going on was we had a king, his name is King Saul. He heard that he was going to be overtaken by a new king. He was very frustrated, very strained. But we actually had a new fella come in. His name is David. He tried to relax King Saul with his own ability to play the harp and whatnot. And being able to have that focus, that intent, right? To be able to relax, very much an opposite of what his stress was. So if he was able to counterattack that, he was able to adapt to it and relax in that sense so that you wouldn't have to think about those stresses anymore. Now, the irony behind that story is that King David was going to be the king that overtook Saul, but that's the completely different story. The main gist of that is like King Saul was able to relax in that moment. That is a big piece that has kind of resonated just throughout history beyond that. So if we look at it in that context, therapy has definitely outstretched to like a variety of different ways of not just being able to listen, but even more so learning to compose music. Composing music is actually even better for your mind should you wind up giving that time and effort to do so. Listening to music has a profound effect on amplification, that is, being able to portray a mood, input a focus, according to Robert Burton, expel diseases. Interesting. Yeah. So when it comes down to it, there are a lot of things that people can go through. I think specifically about PTSD. I don't know if this is necessarily an example that I put in there, but PTSD is one of those things where if you go through a lot of intensities in your life, let's say you went through a war, for example, if you wind up seeing a lot of things that you normally wouldn't be seeing as a human being, it's going to be intense in the body and everything. So to be able to have a place where you can put in a lot of focus is very healing, right? So that's kind of why we have a current vibe with Purple Cat here. By the way, this is Purple Cat music. We have stuff in the profile down below that goes straight to a lot of their beautiful things. We have pretty much every single song in the book on this computer except for one. So it's worth giving them a listen. Just being able to have that, being able to understand the music and appreciating that goes a very long way in being able to provide some healing because it amplifies where you want to go, right? Violas actually described to me that, you know, if he wants to be able to get his job done in the most epic way possible, he puts on some heavy metal. That is like a very prime example of being able to get your energy focused. It's very fascinating in that regard. Let's see. Small but promising evidence suggests that music therapy can help reduce anxiety by instead focusing on the music itself, which I can understand. I kind of want to put my own 2 cents into that. I don't know how deep people are in the art of hypnosis, but there is something very interesting about that. So hypnosis is kind of like an enhanced state of mind. What you wind up doing with that is that you put a lot of focus into a spot. And when you think about those things, they wind up having like a very strong reality if you know how to like get very trained onto it. There have been people that have been known to not feel pain, literally pain, while they're in the dentist as they're trying to be hypnotized. And they're like, nope, I didn't feel anything. I'd imagine that like if you put yourself in a flow state with music, it could very much be something like that. I was kind of like an on-the-fly example. I was just thinking about that in general. But like, it's basically going in here. I go, Violas, it's okay. You're not feeling anything. You're not feeling any pain. And then they go, oh. There's some real examples out there. Somebody went to the dentist. They said they didn't feel pain. It was kind of scary too because they went through the dentist, and then they were asking, okay, as you're going through this experience, we're gonna ask if you go through 1 through 5, 1 being 0 through 5, 0 being the least painful and 5 being the most painful, and the person just kept going 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 0, 0, and they were fine. It was crazy. Music therapy, vibration therapy has been used in those with phantom pain. Really? Huh. That's actually really wild. Huh. So like, I can kind of see that though, because like if you try to put a lot of focus into that, yeah. That's an interesting fact, Daisuke. Huh. but it's all about trying to put your enhanced state of mind. The brain is one of the most plastic pieces of your entire body. And by plastic, this is a very weird term, but this usually means that you have a very mendable and adaptable system. It can retain its shape, it can create a completely new shape. It's the piece of software in your mind that has intense adaptability, right? So, for example, well, I'm a cat and Burb's a Burb. We're not normally a cat and Burb in real life, but we have learned to adapt in VR chat scenarios where I can go, oh, this is a gesture that is nice. This is a gesture that is shocked. This is a gesture that makes me really sad. And there's also me moving my joystick naturally. Like, all this stuff gets adapted because we are in a very plastic brain and we can wind up adapting to our scenarios. It's powerful. So if somebody can be a cat or a Burb on the internet and then use that to be able to put an intense focus on delivery what you want, that's pretty cool. I'm going on a tangent, but just in general, the brain is powerful. So if you can really focus on something like music, it can provide a really strong flow. And the best part is, at least this is just opinion, but you can do stuff while you're listening to music and you can continue a flow while you're doing other things. It's powerful. It's a piece of sensory that can continue as you're going about your daily life. Bereavement, loss of a loved one. Yes, that is a very interesting example. That is something that, like, my sister actually used at one point. It's not something that we talk about very often here, but we actually had a Maltese dog for about 15 years. She was a very, very sweet dog, but during that time, my sister wound up listening to some music on Spotify to try to get through the whole thing. It's an example where if you have music kind of just sort of tied to it, it is a double-edged sword, I'll warn you, because sometimes if you have music that plays and you remember the death of somebody or something, then it can definitely bring something back. So what really the goal is that is, like, I would imagine in music therapy, you'd want to use it in the scenario where it may be after the fact. This is just my guess. I'm saying this completely uneducated, but you can use that to, like, help you get through it. One example that I think about in real time is also the Tetris effect. So if you've ever heard of that, what that is essentially a way to, well, what your brain will do if you play a game of Tetris for the first time is that you may close your eyes and you may start to see Tetris blocks after playing for long hours. That is something that people have actually used to their advantage. The Tetris effect in itself represents a very intense task. Music therapy can be something like that if you either listen to music or compose music. You gotta have a lot of motor skills that get you into that sort of thing. So if you can compose music or listen to music very intensely, then those kind of mental actions can help with the plasticity of your brain. You get away from one piece of signal and you replace it with a different one, then it can definitely help with the ease of bringing you back into a space that makes it a lot more comfortable. It's hotter! Hey, iPad knock off, I have something to show you. You do? What is the thing you would like to share, bud? Oh my goodness. It's very good to see you, Hunter. Long time no see over here. Oh my goodness. Hope things are going okay for you today. Active versus receptive. Active, making music, yes, that makes sense. They're studying if harmonica can help improve lung function. That's interesting. So it's not just for the mind, but it's also for the body. You get a lot of practice. Instruments for motor skill recovery. And I can understand. Violas was talking about this earlier, and you can. What was it? Were you saying that, like, when it comes to, like, learning the viola, that you have to get yourself in, like, a correct position in order to actually play it? Is that what it was?
Yeah. I mean, like, you have to have good posture to play it so you don't hurt yourself. But honestly, playing any certain sort of instrument is not what the body is meant to do, so you have to get used to it.
I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in that context. I kind of wanted to ask Violas, if you're open to talking about it, and you can say whatever it is depending on what you're comfortable, but do you have like any personal experience that you feel like has worked well with music therapy?
I mean, it's been a while. I should have really asked my mom more detail, but I guess, like, with music therapy, like, how I describe it? Like, oh, my body looks weird. But, it's just kind of a way to let me express myself. Like, I try to look at current videos of, like, what music therapists do, mostly in, like, hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they'll, like, they'll play music for little ones, just like little songs to get them more energized or happy. Or if it's like older kids, they can let them play a song with easy sheet music, or maybe with older kids they can like learn to write a song and maybe like talk about their feelings about maybe like being in the hospital if they want to do so.
Yes. I completely forgot about that point. That's so valid though. Because like, let's say you went through a loss or you went through something really intense, right? It's being able to express those feelings full stop, right? So I have so many examples I could do. For me, I do a lot of writing. So that shouldn't come as a surprise because I am talking my head off right now. But when it comes down to figuring out how to describe the thing or action or intent that you wish to do, like, it's good to be able to get that out of your system. I would honestly like rather express more than to try to suppress. That's kind of the thing that I have told a lot of folks personally. It definitely depends on the situation for sure, but when it comes down to it, being able to describe things, especially in melody. If you think about this, right? If music is an amplifier and you have the ability to create lyrics for a song and you have your own genre, that also winds up impacting the song as a whole. It winds up using your whole body and soul to be able to play through that. And it winds up getting it out of your system. That's a really important part of like being able to get out of something as part of growth. Like that's really, really cool. There's a lot of different forms of communication too. There is, for example, things like stress art that definitely goes within that realm, right? So if somebody's frustrated and they might try to express what their frustrations are in the form of a piece that they drew. Music is exactly that kind of thing. I'd say for writing, that's kind of what I do too. So it is a language, but it's also what would be a multimodal language. So you have yourself harmony, rhythm, you have words being used, you're using your body, like all that's being translated into a symphony that allows your mind to get back into shape. That's powerful. I think that's a really cool thing that they have managed to get going there. Sentient DMs? Oh dear. Woe is sentient DMs. Aww. Hunter. Honestly, I kind of that makes sense for Hunter. Oh my gosh. Am I allowed to say what it is, Hunter? Oh dear. Yeah, so with regards to music therapy, it's really powerful. I'm glad that Violas said something about being able to write about getting out of the hospital and whatnot, because there's a whole dimension in being able to express yourself. That's good. It's good to be able to get that out of your system. Now, when it comes down to be able to express it or bring out languages, I think about it in the scope of a moderation system, right? So if you need to be able to have your own personal space to be able to talk to somebody, that's probably the best way to do it. Sometimes I write things, I'll be realistic with you. A good chunk of that stuff doesn't get thrown out there, right? So I have things that go into philosophy dumps. Maybe I just flat out write it in a chat somewhere, or like I just write it to myself and I dump it. That could be a big iceberg. If there's the stuff that I write here in Discord, there's also this stuff over here that I put on my laptop and nowhere else. You kind of have to have different silos and categories for that sort of thing. But if you know how to do that and you know how to productively get it going, then music therapy is really, really good. It's a powerful thing. Also, sorry to swap the topics because of the oh my gosh. My newest boyo, and yes, you are okay. This sounds good. Yeah, so he sent a buff Pikachu. That was what he sent. He sent a buff Pikachu in DMs. I have a feeling I was gonna ask how are you doing today. I think he's doing good. He's got a buff Pikachu. Oh dear. Buff Gen 10 Pikachu specifically. Oh my goodness. How was dinner if you wound up having any dinner? I had some heated up ravioli with pesto. That's what I had for dinner because that's what my father made. Actually, Violas, did you wind up having dinner as well, or what did you wind up having? Did you have like any dinner at all today?
I did.
Oh, good. That's good. It was a whole lot of steak, and it was good. I bet steak is very good.
Yeah, I shoved a whole taco bowl into my mouth before the picture, so I'm like, shit. God, I love taco bowls so much.
Oh my goodness.
Like,
that sounds good. I don't think I've had a taco bowl yet.
it's very good for meal prep. Because literally you just do a cup of ground turkey with taco seasoning, cup of rice if you have it, and then your toppings, lettuce, tomato, cheese, and then put some fire sauce on it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That sounds
Honestly,
great.
I found a recipe to make it at home. I might make fire sauce at home.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah.
I can have up to fire sauce from Taco Bell, but if I have Diablo, I actually get the hiccups.
I should get Diablo to see if I can handle it. I like spicy.
I love spicy too. I wish I could eat it, except it's unusual. Like I can have it. I just have too much hiccups and I can't do it for the hiccups' sake.
Yeah.
My goodness. Is this a maze? Still needs to get dinner. Oh. Working on updating Trello. I love Trello. Trello's awesome. Did you know they have a CLI version of Trello? This is really niche and nerdy. I'm just going to say. To explain it, long time ago, 1970s, computers did not have graphics. They just had ASCII, just like text. So I found a Trello program that is all text. It is very fun. They use a monospace font to create cards. It looks really retro and fun. I put that on my old computer. Let's see here. But yes, music therapy, incredibly valuable and amazing. Next off, we actually have something that is gonna be familiar. All right, so we've talked about this before. This was actually the topic before this one. Oh, never mind. What is this one? Why is it here? Is this music therapy? It's probably music therapy. Yeah, King David. Let's skip that one because we actually went through that. This part is all about autism spectrum disorder. We actually talked about ADHD a while back. That was the topic before Music and Dragons. But in a nutshell, it's very fascinating. For a background with ADHD specifically, And this is something that Violas can correct me with the experience, but I also did talk to him before the ADHD episode. But it's where you have a very intense focus on just about anything, right? You get intense focus on anything, whether that thing is what you want to work on or not is up in the cards. But in a nutshell, that focus it's both a superpower and it can be a detriment sometimes, but it is basically a different way of working with things altogether. It's very fascinating in general, but autism spectrum disorder actually has some benefits. And we'll go through this because I think it's the same study that I was looking at earlier. There's a whole page on autism, just all about it. It's fascinating. It can help with linguistics and speech. This is probably the biggest piece of the entire bit, but it goes down further. So let me keep looking here real quick and I'll try to summarize because there's a lot in here. People with ASD have enhanced abilities to understand music regularly and preserve. Oh, yes. Interesting. So it's a mix of things. There is, let me go down here. I think I have like a specific portion of the brain that I talk about, but there is a brain region in your mind that goes over both being able to communicate and also working with music. When it comes to doing music therapy and dealing with people with autism, it may be very difficult to do communication initially. Communication in general is a really important skill to develop over time. It's crucial because when you're in school and whatnot, being able to communicate to the other students and understand body language and everything, this is all crucial stuff to be able to help them to move. There is a correlation between talking and being able to actually do. So with that combination in mind, it's possible that if you have something like autism spectrum disorder, or if you're part of the spectrum in general, like ADHD, these things may wind up differing in versus like the regular student. So this is where if you have music, it's actually really powerful for your system. You think about it this way. When it comes down to language, you're listening to me talk and you're getting nuances of things, right? But that is kind of like it's not a lot of information compared to music. You're hearing a lot more out of this, right? So Purple Cat right now is having a lot of different instruments. We're hearing various different parts of the beat and all that stuff. That's a lot of stuff that's going straight into the ear. Lots more information for your system. So if you have music, they say in the study that there's a high correlation that it dramatically helps with language as well once you start to actually get into music. It's powerful. It's Trex! How's it going, Trex? It's good to see you. You got a talk show now? I've been doing that for like months. It's good to see you, bud. Our first topic, this is all a just chatting. We've been doing various different talks, but the goal is to be able to engage with the community and have fun with them. We started with the pizza topic. We talked about SCP Foundation, cat, Japanese mythology, ADHD, and now we're right here doing music and dragons, featuring Violas on Fire. Blah. But yes, technically, people have called this a talk show and a podcast, so I think we're kind of within that realm of thing. Hi. Oh my goodness. I'd love to see you later. Wait, love to see. Wait, what did I say? I don't know. What did you want to see later? Shoot. Axel loves the Pikachu. Oh my gosh. I hear Axel. I hear Axel, but then I also see like his face, like this. He's going like this. He's like the Axel. Also, legitimately, I am sorry to interrupt the topic just to show the peak. I don't care. It's okay. It's okay. It's fun to go off topic and do all sorts of different things. like when it comes to different things, like Violas can talk about what he wants here. You can talk about what you want here. This is a very fun space to just like do things, right? We got a topic, but people love expanding on the topic at hand, and there's so many things that we can include and work with. So you're more than welcome to talk about Pikachu if you want. I miss you. I miss you too, Trex. And you're never on Twitch if you do trains. Let me know. Oh yeah, for sure. Yes, for sure. If we ever do trains, that'd be a fun thing to do. We could even get you on. That could be something we could think about, right? So, the reason why we did music here and we brought Violas in is like it's a mix of things. He's a musical genius. He's also a dragon, bird dragon. So having that combination there is important because like we're able to learn all sorts of things from the experts at hand. It's really important to really get that experience if it's possible. Also, Burb is based. Just say that much. My goodness. Also, I learned that apparently if I say based, depending on the person, they may say, "Oh, that's nice," or "Why did you say that?" Oh dear. But no, like if you ever do, like if we ever do something like that, like it could be a potential to get you onto the stream tracks. It would be a lot of fun. Let's see here. Previously, we talked about ADHD. Yup. Intense focus. Exactly. People with ASD may struggle to use words. At the same time, music is something that fills that void. That's exactly what we were talking about. So I jumped ahead of the notes. There's apparently a place called Baroka's area. That seems to be the main spot. So it's the spot responsible for speech and music. So when it comes down to that, it's actually pretty interesting indeed. Children were more emotionally engaged with musical activities versus playing with toys. Oh yeah! Okay, so that's actually really interesting, right? That was something that I think even Violas talked about when we were on Wednesday the other time. But like, you mentioned, right, that when it came down to dealing with the rhythm of the music, that was something that was like more of a group experience, right? Or am I misremembering?
Group experience. Can you go into more detail?
Yeah, so I think the description was like you have a session where you have a group of children and they have like a leader, right? They try to go to the rhythm of whatever they're doing, but the goal was that they were able to be part of that rhythm. But it sounded to me that like they had higher engagement according to this study than just like being on their own and just doing with stuff with toys. But like I didn't know if there was like an experience that you were reminded of that was similar to that or not.
I mean, it depends on the child too. Like, obviously, like working together is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
But we do like, I've learned a lot of like different like structures, like to get kids more engaged. Besides like the traditional learning of like who knows the answer.
Right.
You've probably done some, you just never noticed. There's like a thing called think, pair, share. So a question in class, you think on it, and then pair up with someone, and then you share your answer.
Oh, okay.
There's also another thing called rally coach.
Yeah.
Where one student does the thing. Let's say spell. So there's a student and a coach.
Mm-hmm.
The coach, let's say for example, like using the music staff on the treble clef, spell the word dad, and then you use some dots to spell out dad, and then either the coach tells them they're correct, or the coach helps them out on like how to do it.
I see. Yeah, that's good information. I think that makes sense. It's funny that you said like what was it? The think, pair, share. That was what it was. We do that like all the time at like Sunday school. That's interesting to think about. Yeah. Because that makes sense. Because like you're on your own accord, you think about the result that you want to process, and then you both have finished results, but then you can combine them at the end if you so need to. That's actually really creative and interesting. But I see that, right? Because if you're in an environment that allows you to learn in that fashion, when you're on your lonesome and you're just sort of like doing your own thing on the fly, there's not a lot of initial preparation that goes into that. But with what you have there, it sounds like a very organized way of coordinating, and you have a lot of fun in the process of doing so. So your mind gets very high engagement. That's very wild to think about overall. My goodness. Firefox has kind of been bugging around today. Let's see. Oh my gosh, we got through here very quickly. Holy cow. Okay, so we might actually have like a few more minutes into this. I may actually have to get going earlier than I'm expecting to, just because I do have to take my sister to work very early in the morning. So I'll try to do my best to try to keep things brief. Let's see. Entire paper is a sort of proposal for talking more about potential outcomes, which is interesting. I go into here, and this is interesting. What I was thinking about in this regard, this is some of my own original notes, but when it comes down to being able to have a musical expression, it's something that is very much tied to what we're doing right now, right? We have an expression that allows us to create a product of many different things. We're anthropomorphic characters. These characters themselves provide a description of who we are without necessarily showing or using our English exactly where our mind ultimately is thinking, right? So Violas has a music burb. It's got all sorts of notes on top of it. He's a bird because he likes to sing and do music. But he's also a dragon, bird dragon, because hands. That's what I understand from him. But like, there's a lot of stuff in here, and he also has like this shirt here that's all about his like favorite band too. My one chose me. That's what it says there. But he's got a lot of descriptions on himself. But it shows. And then you have a description of being able to do music. It's all these bits and pieces that allow you to express everything. And being able to express is a good thing. It helps you understand more around like what your mind is going through. And you can really like deep dive and bring in the most efficient communication where you can. So this is really good when it comes to the communication aspect of your mind. You have personas, you have music, it's all multimodal, and the experience is extravagant at the end of the day, because we have now an experience that allows us to be able to talk and bring out the best that we can possibly do. So this is powerful. It's really good that they have the ability to have music therapy for this kind of situation. We expanded to like personas and stuff, but it's also pretty deep regardless of where you take it. Let's go here. If a person might be naturally wild. Yes. It was talking about like, naturally, if you are in the autism spectrum, you may have motor skills that differ slightly, right? So if you had difficulty walking when you were young, this kind of thing may channel a little bit better if you wind up using music therapy. So that is another aspect of it. I'm trying to speed up here because we have only a few minutes left and more topics to cover, which ultimately is about exercise at the very end, and we also have some exotic songs. So that's kind of going to be wrapping that up for the music part of it. We do have the dragons half of it, although I'm going to be thinking about whether this will be like either a part 3 or whatnot, or if I'll try to push it to like another week or whatnot. We'll have to figure that out. Also, too, the dragon section of the talk itself is going to be a little bit on the shorter side, just considering that we had a lot more to talk about music-wise. cerebellum. That's what it was, for being able to have music and communication. That is the piece. Therapy again. Perhaps music could be used to rehabilitate motor skills. Yes. The ability to expect something in rhythm has a good effort of consistency. That reinforcement is great for taking on tasks because we can confidently and subconsciously make decisions that are improved in accuracy. Yes. So being able to have that practice in there, right? So Violas was talking to me a while back from when he was in elementary school. He learned how to do instruments very early in his life. But being able to continuously learn and iterate these instruments has allowed his mind to be significantly improved. It's a lot of practice. It's a lot of reinforcement. But what does that ultimately help him do? It's allowed him to have high expression in so many different levels. So it's highly beneficial for his health, and not just his health. You know what impacts he has? He's a music teacher. So now he can demonstrate that kind of stuff to his students. And now this is something that, like, I'm puffing him up is what I'm trying to do. The students that he's going to be teaching, the ones that he has already taught, they're going to learn a lot of the principles that he has in order to actually get to where he is. He talked about earlier how he's learning techniques over time to help him improve. He's using those exact same things to help his students improve. Therefore, it's a ripple effect. Being able to have music in this case allows these students to get stronger and more versatile with not just motor skills, but being able to communicate in so many different levels. So what Burb is going to be doing for his future is very, very impactful. It's going to be significant to this ultimate outcome that we're going to be seeing here pretty soon. It's been very exciting to even hear like some of the feedback that he's gotten from his students too. He's shared some of this stuff in the actual server. I talk about video game music in here, so yes, I can see that making sense. We like video game music quite a bit, as for me personally, I do have like a background in playing a lot of games. Like that shouldn't be like a surprise at all. We're on VR chat right now. But in general, video game music does have a lot of repetition inside of it. I think about that quite a bit. Especially, okay, I don't know if you guys have heard of the game called Geometry Dash. You're gonna get a lot of repetition from a game like that. So having that reinforcement to be able to improve upon it, it's quite an experience. But it's part of that whole thing where you learn and grow and get stronger. And then I commented at the end, that was an impressive piece. It was. I really enjoyed that piece of paper. This was a long study that I had to read for a little good while. And then there was one more quote that came straight from there. It says, "Attention is critically involved in all cognitive functions as the gateway to voluntary control of thoughts, emotions, and actions." Right? So what that kind of states at the end is that if you can move and you can do, you can express. And that's a really good thing. I think about why this just chatting came in the first place. That's pretty much why, right? Being able to express something that people aren't simply just interested in, but you can get into granular detail and really understand the meat and potatoes behind everything. I have two different variants of just chatting that we have now launched. We have the person, place, thing, which is, we're in that section right now. We're talking all about music. That's a person, place, or thing. We also have more psychological topics, which I'm actually looking forward to the next one. I have one on my mind that I'm very tempted to veto, but I want to hear others' feedback about it first. So when it comes down to it, being able to describe these things in good detail is really good. And people who are interested in chatting can also expand upon these topics. It's all really good to be able to have the expression needed in a space that otherwise wouldn't have happened if we didn't put the love and effort into it. So expressing, being able to display action, music plays a huge part in that, especially when it comes to trying to compose things. It literally activates parts of the brain that you otherwise wouldn't be using in such that fashion. And if you can do it, it helps with other skills along the way. So overall, this paper was a very interesting piece to dive and sink teeth into, just for like how powerful it really is. And I really hope they get what they're shooting for when it comes to encouraging more music therapy, especially in the concept of autism as well. Okay, so we have one more topic here, which we'll go over briefly. We have a few other bits and pieces. So we have the exercise topic, and then we have exotic tracks. Essentially, what I will go over, let me see if I have a slide for this too. I most likely do. Oh, I missed a spot. Okay, personal enjoyment. I mean, I can kind of see that. This is just more of like a general aspect of what music is. And we kind of just generally covered this, right? The grand question that we've been talking about overall is, why music? Why do we do music? In terms of like music therapy and dealing with autism, like that's all really good stuff, but it's kind of just everywhere though, right? It's a form of expression. We talked about that for a while. In this case, Violas and I, we have an interest in lo-fi. Violas also knows how to do classical music. He's also interested in heavy metal. But each of these things allow you to express one form of yourself or another, and it can be very good. It doesn't have to be for any specific purpose either. You could just be laying flat on the bed. You could be very tired and just listen to music. It's a good form of expression and enjoyment. In this case, I have pictured here Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions. It's a game that myself, Violas, Daisuke, Cosmic Spiders, we all play this game together, and it's a lot of fun. Oh, also in Rocket. Rocket plays the game too. But it's this game that kind of combines all pieces together. It's ultimately like a utility application, but it doubles as a game. Your goal is to collect various different spirit characters that can be used as part of your environment as you enjoy whatever you're doing, right? So you could be cooking, you could be writing stuff on your computer, or at least your character is. But utility-wise, it doubles as like a Pomodoro timer. You have a list of to-dos, a list of habits, several other different things that go along with it, and even like a journal. So it's kind of like an all-in-one utility that wraps around the concept of lo-fi, but the fact that people enjoy it so much and they use it as part of their workflow is a testament. Being able to personally enjoy it is a very good thing. Maybe you're not even using Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions. Maybe you're just on Spotify, you're just listening to the music itself. You can just appreciate it. It's a good thing. Let's see. Let's go over here, and I believe we have exercise. I think we have room for one more topic here, and then it's getting really close to my bedtime personally. So it may be worth being able to put things off after this. This is exercise. So this is a whole bunch of people. These aren't cats or birds or wolves. There's these strange species called humans. These humans do this weird thing called running, okay? So by doing that, they wind up getting this thing called exercise, and it seems to be good for them. Exercise in itself has a very interesting thing. I'll try to briefly go over this paper, but what I remember from it, vaguely, I won't go over my notes, but it has a very strong correlation to the mind and body experience, similar to what we were talking about with autism earlier. With exercise, there was a lot of studying that wound up happening within the Olympics, I believe. Depending on the person that was trying to practice, they said, okay, versus you and the control group, of which we're not talking about, why don't you go ahead and try to listen to a music piece of your choosing, right? So by doing that, and they wound up exercising, what's weird is that their heart rate didn't go up. It went down, but for very good reason. They were less stressed when they were trying to do intense workouts. It was interesting, right? Because maybe your mind's so heavily focused on getting something right? When I think personally about doing Tetris and trying to get through my 40-line speed run, my brain might overly concentrate on, okay, go fast. But if you have the right movements and the right flow, it can help you relax a little bit and not have to think about that stuff when the goal is to just do. So in this case, when it comes down to the exercise of music and all that stuff, people who have the music of their choice can psychologically get into the right headspace in order to get more improved efficiency. And this is something that I would describe as something that my dad did to his SUV. This is something he used called a bully dog. This thing was a CPU that went directly into the SUV that he had, and it was able to dynamically figure out how to improve the efficiency of the car. Thing about that, except music is kind of like the bully dog for your brain. I didn't mean for that to kind of be catchy or whatnot, but it's kind of within that same realm, right? You have the ability to amplify the feelings that you're trying to go for, and that vibe can help carry you to a more efficient state. That's really cool. Now, they didn't get to practice this on a large scale, right? They got to practice with practicing people that were trying to actively work on their craft before the entire Olympic event. But when they were able to do it with those guys, they showed a lot of promising results. Now, I'd understand why they wouldn't want to show that on the Olympics themselves. Everybody has earbuds and they're all doing that. You kind of need a control, a general control, and I get that. But it's interesting nonetheless just to see that you do have promising results when it comes to working with music. It is a powerful force whenever you get it right. And now, another aspect is that I've kept saying the music that they enjoy. If they don't like the music, the correlation to music and being able to get your task done kind of goes down, because otherwise it's just sort of noise and it's not as interesting. So it's very much a selective process, and it's something that you have to put yourself into the flow of. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, I put something in here. It was talking about relaxing music. If you're done and you're trying to go through recovery, they said that relaxing music is really good for that, which is an interesting aspect in the notes. I also talk about a really cool experience. So I'm going to disclose something actually pretty cool here. Something that I did. I was actually a alpha tester for the game Fruit Ninja VR2, made by Halfbrick. I was part of a testing group with myself and Cosmic Spiders. We were the first two to test out the newest mode in the game, which was called the crossbow. The crossbow had its own system, and before we even knew what it was, basically, I'll leak a little bit because they probably don't care at this point. It didn't look like a crossbow when we tested it. It was two gray boxes. It looked like a gun. So that's basically what we had at the time. But it evolved over time, and we had actually a crossbow at the end. But it sounded like when we tried to play the minigame, it sounded pretty generic. Like it had the same old bow music. But they did something special right after, like near the final build. I was talking to them beforehand, how combos were like what I was shooting for constantly. I was like, boom, 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 boom. They added that as part of the musical experience. It was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. So I wound up playing, and every time I got a combo and I kept doing combos, the music started to crescendo. It started to become way more beautiful. it was impressive. Like, I was like blown away. So I kept playing and playing and playing, and I was so hooked. Like, they got me. Like, it was really impressive when they wound up taking that in. So I'm telling this from like first-hand experience. I'm not part of the exercise group there, but crossbow-wise, when it comes to testing it out from Fruit Ninja, absolutely, I can tell you firsthand, music plays a huge role in just improving the experience. If you can get it right there into the soul with the experience that you're working with, it can be perfect. It's very impressive. It can keep you engaged for a long time. So I can attest to that. Like, I'm not an Olympian. I have played crossbow on Fruit Ninja, which is something else, but yes, it is something that's really cool. If you can do it just right, music can for sure create an unforgettable experience. Peter points out this all been psychological benefits. Yup. So think about it this way. When it comes down to listening to music, this is a psychological thing. Whether your performance improves or like you have instantly better like agility and whatnot, that doesn't necessarily apply. Now, it's the same kind of thing as like me saying something out loud and you're trying to adapt the message. Your brain is plastic, so this can eventually move into other intents and actions based off of what you're talking about. But just by receiving this information, the way your brain interprets it is how it winds up with your helping with your body later down the road. Yep, main thing it affects is heart rate, all of that. So stuff like that. And also at the very bottom, this is something that Violas said. Allegedly, if you are a music major, you could have better grades. better grades in school. It is what I heard from the burb. Burb is the word. Ugh. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the psychology of music, why we wind up having various different elements of it. Why do we have music? Is it beneficial for the mind? Yes, it is. Is it good for personal enjoyment? Sure. Can it help you with physical activities? Most definitely, if you put your mind to it. Now, after all of that, I'm going to skip over one thing. We have, let me look at the time. We have a little bit more time. So we'll talk about the Voyager Golden Record. This is a slightly off-topic thing. It's more of a bonus topic, which is at the very bottom. The Voyager Golden Record. So I'll talk about this very fast, as I can. This is a special type of record. I think there's only 2 of them in existence, and they're out in outer space. What they are essentially is a way to communicate to aliens like far out there in space if they ever find whatever this is. So essentially that it presumes that the aliens would be able to read a record back and be able to transmit the data and get it all out. But this is an interesting piece. This was on the front of Wikipedia as like an example image of what music is. But the contents of which are very interesting. It's not actually gold, it's made out of metal, but it's also got like a gold color. To my understanding, it has a few different things. It has the way to say greetings in many, many different languages of the world. It has some music from various different authors around the time. This was 1970s or so. So you had things from the Beatles and whatnot that actually got onto this Voyager Golden Record. As well as other soundscapes that were happening back in the day. So you could listen to like the outdoors. You could listen to like a lake or just the evening time. You could hear crickets and whatnot. So all that stuff. It's a very interesting little tidbit, but it was sent into outer space and it was a very huge project. that went under the taking for a few years, from what I understand. 1977, that's what it says. 60 languages specifically for the amount of greetings. In brainwaves. Okay, so that's a weird one. Somebody wound up recording their brainwaves onto the disc as well. So they were thinking about all sorts of different things about the world, the current state of the universe, and whatnot. So they put that in there, and then they put it into a rocket, and it's gone to outer space. And people are still getting like imagery from the progress of where it is. Like, it's out there really far out into the universe. Finally, we're at the very bottom of the music section of Music and Dragons, which I'm thinking at this point we may have to do like a checkpoint of sorts. May have to be a do be continued. But we're gonna now talk about exotic tracks. Guys, we have a very amazing one created by John Cage. In fact, I have a rendition of one of his most amazing songs, guys. I actually have that ready for us if we want to hear it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play one of John Cage's most famous pieces, which is called 433. You'll hear it in about 10 seconds. Here we go. Isn't it beautiful? Amazing attention to detail. Such amazing detail that this winds up going on for another good 5 minutes. So for the uninitiated, to be continued again. Yes, we may have another to be continued, although the dragons part may be short. Just saying, because like I do have to get going. Unfortunately, I would keep going, but there is a lot to actually cover beyond that. So. John Cage's 433. We're listening to it right now. I promise there is no audio bug. In fact, I just paused the music because basically all that is raw silence. John Cage's 433 is all about just sitting there. But there are actual stages. Like, apparently, like, what is it? I don't remember the specific stages, but every time there'd be a stage. It would be shown on screen depending on the YouTube video that you'd watch. But the full thing is like he has a sheet music. This guy right here, he has a stopwatch. But his goal is to get started with the song, and then he wraps up. But his sheet music right there is empty. There's nothing there. So that's essentially what 433 is. Another part. At this point, yeah, there might be another part. We'll have to see how that goes. We're at the end of the music half, so the whole thing is music and dragons. I'm realizing flat out that there is a lot that I stuck in here, probably a little bit too much. In the future, I may have to focus on like how to make sure that these things don't go on for this long. So that is something worth considering in the future. Also, we're going to stop playing 433 in a minute. We're going to play some lo-fi instead. You'll hear that in about 10 seconds. There you go. All right. Worth it? Oh my goodness. It's been a very long journey for this one, I'll say that much. Holy cow. Let's see. Another one, which we'll go ahead. I probably should have been over there, but we have a slide for it. Happy birthday. That's the next one. So this was something that I feel like a lot of people learned about, but I do have an update on this. So there was a whole thing for a while that apparently Happy Birthday was a copyrighted song. That was a pretty interesting. So that means that you couldn't do public performances of Happy Birthday for a very long time. And then if you wound up listening to media, they always remixed Happy Birthday. And I would presume that's why, because they thought it was copyrighted. Turns out, update, it's no longer copyrighted. It's in the public domain, guys, which is awesome. Holy cow. Another thing I think about that's in the public domain, if you guys have ever seen Steamboat Willie, right? That's actually a piece of Disney's history that has been unlocked into the public domain. A couple years ago, somebody actually had the full ability to set up their own rendition of Mickey Mouse's Steamboat Willie song, which is crazy. They did their own remix and everything. You also have the ability to draw Steamboat Willie Mickey, which is crazy. You can have your own rendition of Mickey. I don't know if you can call him Mickey, but somebody even did like a video game of it on Steam, which is crazy. So it's that kind of thing. Another interesting fact about public domain stuff, Disney has actually been the sole, basically the sole company to kind of expand the public copyright law. If I remember correctly, the original copyright law was that if the owner died and it was 20 years later, then you would be able to make a copy of the current work, right? So somebody could have had like Harry Potter books created like a long time ago, except it got bumped. Disney was like, well, we kind of wanted it a little bit longer. So then 50 years. We kind of wanted it a little bit longer. 100 years. So you can blame Disney for that. As far as I'm concerned, I think that's pretty much where it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. I did not do the research on that this time, but I remember that just from memory. Disney's kind of evil. You can point their fingers. Okay. So when it comes down to that, it was very interesting. But yes, you can sing Happy Birthdays in the public domain, and it's completely okay to do it now. It's all good. And then, this is the part where, Mr. Violas, you actually gave me a list of things about some very unique songs that you've talked about. I wanted to ask personally, we have Water Walk. Do you think you could provide like a description of like Water Walk specifically, if you remember?
Yeah. Yeah, so with Water Walk is another piece by John Cage.
Oh.
And it's also time-based as well. So the performer has a stopwatch or a timer stuff, and they use a lot of non-music stuff. So there is a piano in there, but it's not used like a piano. So there's like a teapot that you press open to let steam out. There's a tub of water, and then you have to dunk the water with a vase and then pour it out at some point. It's very much ambient sound with time. So, like I said, John Cage really is a believer of anything you do is music. That's one of his quotes that I take to heart too.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
controlled chaos, as I like to put it.
Yeah. It sounds like you have to have like a really open mind, right? Because like you could, man, you could create like regular music, but then you could also do a John Cage style thing in the middle, right? I think that makes sense.
Right. I'm sure there are people out there like, well, I can do that. It's like, well, can you? Because like there has to be like the reason like John Cage did that is to like test the limits of music. It's not like he did it like, oh, like you said, he's doing it with a stopwatch, so it's timed. Like there's practice to it. Like he had to time himself and like practice doing those things.
Right. No, that makes sense. You gotta have that art to it to be able to say, oh, this has got to go at this certain time. It's got to go at this certain time.
I mean, like, during that same time, there was this, I forget, I should look up more research, but, there was forget it.
Oh.
Not in a bad way, just like, I thought I remembered it. It's like...
Kid Joker! Thank you for the follow.
Hey, Kid Joker.
Sorry, interrupted you there.
No, you're good. I'm trying to remember.
My goodness. Thank you so much for
Maybe
the
I can
follow.
Google it real quick.
How are you doing? It's very good to see you, Kid Joker. Hope things are going okay. And if you had... I pulled my own tail. How did I do that? Oh no. Hope you had a good dinner so far and whatnot. My goodness.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay.
So it's called the 12 tone rows. So where we get the 12 is like within the Western sense of music, there are 12 notes between each other. So like from C and then all the notes in between to the next C.
Mm.
This ensures every note is played equally with equal temperament. And if you, the thing about this gets into like advanced music theory, but like you can like flip it and reverse it. You can change what order they are. It sounds like complete chaos, but the science or like the theory behind it is very like analytical. But when you hear it, it sounds like sounds crazy. That's what I say about like controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Like it sounds crazy, but like when you look into like the theory, it's like oh, like that's how it's done.
Yeah.
And by the way, this was developed by Arnold Schoenberg, composer, which is so funny because before he started doing that, like one of my favorite pieces by him is his Nocturno for strings and harp. Most beautiful thing ever. And then he started doing the 12 tone and then atonal stuff, which if you don't know, atonal means the absence of tonality.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no key center to go back to.
Right. That is interesting. My goodness. That's fascinating to hear, right? Because it seems like what he was like really working with, John Cage, is like the ability to have a template for the different types of songs that you could work with, but he used things way beyond like what we would consider conventional to be able to actually get that stuff done. But when you're talking about like reversing the notes and their patterns and whatnot, that's actually really powerful to be able to say, oh, you can make it happen. You can do it in the most sophisticated way possible. If you can actually figure it out, you can actually apply, not just like, if you're in the sense of doing that vibe thing, right? Trying to figure out how to set up a beautiful song, you could use that principle for what he borrowed there in order to actually create something uniquely your own, even if it wasn't part of the genre that he was initially working with. That's really cool stuff. My goodness. We have several more here, but I think what we might do, we may only go over like a couple more just to wrap things up, since I do have to get going as well. So we have two more here. It says on Violas suggested 8 songs for a Mad King. I was kind of curious what that one might have been like. Oh dear.
Oh, this is like, so I love how performative it is. It's like so good. Every performance is different.
Oh, interesting. Ooh, There's a chance I will be taking my sister to work tomorrow, but then I'll probably take a nap after that.
That's fair.
Whoa. Do 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 do.
Yeah, so with that piece, it's technically a monodrama, which means that it's a operatic piece played by one person, and this person is played by King George III, which you might be like, oh, that sounds familiar. Like, yeah, it's the same King George from like Revolutionary War when we learned about in history.
Yeah.
These are based off of his letters that he wrote.
Oh, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's for. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say 2 words: music therapy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And the best part is it's for a baritone voice, which is like the in between a tenor and a bass. But the baritone does so many exciting techniques that it goes up in register.
Oh my!
I mean,
goodness.
I sent you one, like an actual live performance, but I have to send you my favorite recording.
Yeah.
But the baritone is Julius Eastman, another American composer that I like. His rendition of it is very good. But I think it's Julius Eastman, or I might be thinking of someone else named Julian. It might be him, but like I can't do it because it's like, what time is it? 10:30 at night. And my mom and puppy is sleeping, so.
Oh goodness.
Like very much falsetto, like.
I completely understand. I might try to listen to some of this stuff, like in the.
I'll listen to it with you. Like, you need to do the recording that I suggest. I did the live performance because like you need the experience of the live performance, but the score video was just as good because I like the recording.
I hear you're there. Yeah, definitely send a link over. I can try to add that to like the notes as well when I publish them afterwards and everything. Okay, so one more thing and then we'll go ahead and summarize what we did. I skipped over one category, which is like the genres of music, but at this point I'd say it's definitely a good time to wrap up and be able to, I guess, for whatever next time, whenever that next time is, we move on to the dragons part of Music and Dragons. There is one more, which is They're Nobody to the Victims of Hiroshima. Oh,
that's a good one.
Oh, this one. You have more knowledge on this one than I do, but it is very interesting to hear about. Oh my goodness. So like, correct me if I'm wrong with this. This is basically like an orchestra. They have worked on trying to make it sound like the actual war. Is that what I understand?
Yeah. So I think it's just a response to like what happened at Hiroshima. And if you listen to a piece, you can tell the composer didn't like that. because trinity is I'm trying to think of a similar word, like an elegy. It's kind of like a more sadder, somber piece. A lot of elegies are written for like actually there's this viola and piano elegy that I played my senior year of college. It was dedicated to a fellow violist. So sorry, all this drainage.
It's all good, buddy.
Yeah. So you can tell like the composer is very angry because the techniques are very loud and rambunctious. And another piece that's also based on time as well.
I see.
A lot of composers did dabbled in like time measures instead of just like measured measures. And a lot of sending techniques too. Sometimes you played your bow in different places of your instrument. Sometimes like the tail piece.
Yeah.
Like if you saw at the
Oh.
viola example that the long black thing that holds the strings, like you would play that and it gives like this like vibrating wood sound. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's just
Yeah. And get back to the viola. Is a very far. We did a lot of content here today, guys. I think if that's evident enough, there's so many slides. Holy cow! It'll stop. I promise. Somewhere.
there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so if you look here, like play on that the long black thing that's holding the strings with the colored things.
Oh, bruh.
Which, in fact, that lets you know what strain it is or what brand it is. Sometimes they're all the same color, and I'm like, what? No, well, I'm a liar. So, they do the colors up there when you put the strings up there. I'm a liar. So, like, they play at the tailpiece.
Yeah.
Right here, that's the tailpiece. Then sometimes just on top of the bridge, which is like the light brown thing that kind of gives it the angle. And then, like, maybe over the fingerboard. In the piece, you'll hear like crazy knocking stuff. They'll sometimes have to knock their instrument.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if any other places, but that one part where it's just full on knocking is just insane. It's very scary. Which I think what Penderecki, who composed it, wanted.
Holy cow.
And then when he gets to the end, like, kind of spoiler, like when he gets to the end, I think that's where like the initial, like, the quote unquote bomb drops, because literally it gets very loud, stops, and then this big cluster chord of strings just, and then it just slowly dies off.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you, when I experienced that, like, I was changed. Like, it was, I loved it so much. I loved the raw energy of it.
That is something, man. Oh. What gets me is that, like, they use their instruments in a very different way that, like, what we would expect, right? Because, like, we're so used to playing it in one way, but then you're talking about playing near the very bottom. How would somebody think of doing that? It, like, takes a lot of creativity to say, oh, we're just gonna, like, use the instrument in a completely different... Man, that is wild. They wound up taking that pathway towards that. It's something else. That is incredible, dude. I'm gonna have to listen in on that too. It's something else. Holy cow. Birth? What are you talking about? I must have completely missed something, Jimmy. I'm going to look back at the recording and when you said birth. Good grief. Well then, what I will say is that we managed to cover 90% of the music stuff for the entire chatting. I am realizing in real time that this was a chockload of stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's Captain Obvious at this point. We'll talk about what we've done so far. So we have talked to Mr. Violas about himself. We have an interview, which I'm gonna set up. I have, what is it? I have a highlight that I need to configure. It's got the whole interview. It's worth 2 hours worth. If you haven't heard, like, a lot of, like, there's a lot of stuff from Viola's experience that goes very deep. It's worth listening to if you ever want to check it out. We also wound up going pretty shallow deep into the music section of that part. I was going to say podcast. And then over here, we did a lot more of the music section. So overall, what we've described so far is a lot of music. Music in itself is a very wild platform. Wikipedia says that it's very difficult to describe, but you know what? It is very much something that, like, I'm gonna almost coin something. I'm gonna steal something from Violas and then steal something from the studies, right? An amplified vibe. This is interesting, right? Because being able to understand and express what you're going through is powerful. An amplified vibe in this sense means that you have the ability to translate something in its most beautiful form in order to get your body into one experience that helps you get through whatever you're going through. So, music in itself is a very interesting pattern that transcends not just communication, but being able to listen to things as a whole and being able to translate your experience vibrantly. It's something that if you tune it just right and you interact with it in just the right way, it can help not just with your physical ability to walk and talk, it can also help you run and soar with the amount of power that can supercharge your mind into the right mindset. So with music, it is incredibly powerful. It is not one shape or one size. It is as diverse as the instruments, as diverse as the techniques that Violas has described in granular form, not just by John Cage, but several other people who have worked on the art since the very beginning, not just from Christianity, but going beyond that and being able to express everything from the monotone kind of chants that they had back in the day to the crazy lo-fi that we have right now. It is incredibly vast. It has so many different things, and that is probably why it's been taking so long to do this one. So far, we have done a total of 6 hours and 30 minutes of content, which I was not expecting, of just talking about music and the various different pieces. We didn't even talk about the genres. It's that crazy. If you want to hear about the genres, I have it in my notes, but I think what matters is that we are able to take a time here and relax, because it is getting very late. Apparently, puppy dog is sleeping at Violas' house, and mom is sleeping at Violas' house. So it would be good to just get things wrapped up. The next time that you guys see us, most likely, there will be talks about dragons. That's the other half. I do have a slide for that. But it's not going to be as big as music. Music is probably extremely vast. Dragons is a little bit of a smaller one, but we'll at least be able to cover some of it. I think it'll be important to at least get this whole thing complete, because this research wound up taking, I would say roughly, this is probably most research I've ever done within weeks, so it's crazy, because another thing I think about, I could easily go on tangents forever. Music in itself is a subject that has so many vast caves and crevices that you could explore for a while. I was worried that I wouldn't have enough information. We've been here for a total of 6 hours in total, which is huh? And I didn't think there was enough. And then, also I should have really understood that, because there's a basically a near masters here in the craft. So we've got a literal example here that music is vast. It's very amazing and creative. There's a lot you can do. I just want to say up front that I greatly appreciate hanging out during this whole series, Burb. I know we've talked a lot in this entire series, but I greatly appreciate being able to do this collaboration with you. Seriously.
Yeah. I'm glad to.
Yeah. Had a good time. Okay. Well, I'm trying to see if we can leave Bird free. I'm gonna see if I can get some rest, take my sister to work, and then rest again, and then wake up. That's gonna be the process. But I do want to say thank you guys so much for stopping by for this very long presentation. I don't think I've ever done a presentation this long before, and I couldn't have done it actually with a good majority, without the majority of Violas' help with some just being able to bounce off ideas and stuff. It's been very helpful. Being able to hear a musician talk to me, a musician, it's been able to be a very diverse topic as a result of that. So this has been a very fun experience so far. Again, worth it. Been loving this so far. It's been fun to do. And for the next part, I asked that you imagine. Oh my gosh. I did not think of wrapping that in. That was good. That was good. All right, y'all. It was great to be able to go this far. Although at this point, my back is getting tired. I'm getting tired. Violas is getting tired. Violas' dog is getting tired. So, let's go ahead and find somebody to raid out, shall we? My goodness. Oh. But again, thank you all for stopping by. This has been a very fun experience. Oops, I went to YouTube. I guess I'm very tired if I'm going to YouTube. Oh, look who we have here. That makes sense. We were actually there last time. Y'all, we'll go ahead and try to raid over to none other than Cheese Beagle. It's Gold! Hi, Gold. Hey, buddy. Thanks for stopping by for a little bit. We're just wrapping up. Raid. Cheese Beagle. Alright, y'all. Thanks for stopping by. This was a lot of fun. We'll go ahead and raid out to none other than the Cheese Beagle. He is currently doing some drawing as he typically does on Sundays. He is quite a legend. We met each other over at Anthrocon back in 2023 or so. It's been a good minute now. But he's a very awesome fella. If you guys wind up sticking around during this time, sure to send some love his way. Hope you guys have a good rest of your evening. See you guys later.